Hey, hello. Hey, Norm.
Hey Lou.
Looking good. The cam is good. I think it's a little bit better quality than my camera. Jeff's looks good too.
Not so much the quality of the camera, it's what's on
And the quality of the camera.
it.
And how you use it.
You got your drums
Oh,
stacked up in the background there. Just like last time, you got your powder blue Gretches there. No, they're not Gretches. They're
There's
what?
Slingerland.
Slingerman. Spider-Man's neighbor. You had Spider-Man. You had Slingerman.
called
Slingerland.
Stack O Drums.
Zildjian Man.
No.
Zildjian Man. How was your weekend? You guys, I mean, it's a holiday weekend, I guess. Did everybody have today off?
Yeah,
Yes.
they actually gave us Friday off too.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, if you work for some humdingers.
And the
What are you,
nice
a
thing
teacher?
is, huh?
What are you, a teacher?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, what's he gonna teach people?
Yeah, no, and the nice thing is I have
Norm's got a lot of things to teach.
I
How
have
to
a
eat?
dentist appointment next Friday, so I got that day off too. So it's like a 4-day weekend followed by a 3-day week.
Fun. What'd you guys do yesterday?
Pretty much like what I did today, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I actually went over, hung out at my sister's house for a little bit. Their oldest is on her way or on their way to some island off the coast of Seattle to live in a yurt.
Oh,
Yurt? The fuck is a yurt?
it's
It's
a
like a
circular,
tent type
like a
structure.
permanent tent structure. Kind
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, but kind of par for the course for that one.
Nice. I went to Taste of Polonia down at the Copernicus Center.
Hmm.
And it was me and Paul and a guy named Andrew Wierzinski, and Steve Nurkowitz. So we were all down there uh,
Bunch of poles.
having fun watching, eating some Polish food and watching some tribute bands.
Good pierogies.
Yeah, I got the Polish plate, which is a little bit of everything. So you get like a potato pancake and three pierogies, and they douse it with applesauce and sour cream, and then you get like a stuffed cabbage and a blotch of sauerkraut with a Polish sausage.
They remember
And
to
I
put it
was,
on the top of the plate, though, right?
man, I tell you what, Polish food's the
That causes a
fucking
lot of
heaviest.
confusion.
It's the heaviest food you can eat. You know, I
I'm
mean,
half Polish.
seriously,
I can say it, right? I'm half Polish.
it's meat and potatoes and breads and god damn. Anyway, after I ate that thing, I could barely move. So I didn't do much yesterday. I stopped up at the bar for a little bit, had a couple beers, a couple shots, came home, and then chilled out the rest of the night. Today, basically did laundry, around the house, pretty much it. I'm on vacation this whole rest of this week.
That's right.
Oh, nice.
Gonna get
So,
prepare for your fantasy football draft, man. No
well,
excuses. Got plenty of
that is
time.
that's tomorrow night. So my day tomorrow is get the dog washed, come home,
Is that slang?
pull my garden out. That's slang. Um, and then basically just do mow the lawn and get that shit taken care of. Wednesday, it's pressure wash the house and clean the gutters day. And if I
Did
got
it.
time, try cleaning out the garage.
That's a whole year's worth of activity there, too.
Yeah, that's like a lot of work for a vacation.
Dude, I didn't have anywhere to go. Didn't have anywhere to go. Plus, there's just so much shit backs up on me, you know. I mean, I haven't pressure washed a house yet since I've lived here, so just cleaning up the brick a little bit, um, making it a little bit brighter looking. That'll last me. I won't have to do that for another 3 years, maybe. But the gutters definitely need to be cleaned because I don't think I did that last year. And there's some days when it gets like really rainy, and next thing you know, I got a bunch of scuzzy looking seeds that the gutters float over. So there's got to be some blockage somewhere. So I got to get up there and take care of that. But wish me luck. It's been a while since I got up on a ladder.
Well, be careful.
When's the last time either of you got up on a ladder?
It's been long. It's been a long time. Diane won't really let me do that kind of thing.
I was on one probably. It's probably been a year.
Yeah, it's not something we do all the time anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the last time I was on a ladder, I was changing a light bulb at my mom's house.
I've got an idea though.
You mean like a tall outside ladder, right? And that's what I'm talking about.
So what I'm thinking about doing is maybe just like I can get my ladder into a big triangle, and on one side, like bungee cord a shop vac to that side, and have a long extension cord, and just go down and suck this shit right out of the instead of pulling it out by hand, just suck it out with a shop vac.
Yeah, just pull
Yeah,
it up and
that shop vac's
break it
gonna
up and
kind of unbalance your ladder, though.
Nah, not necessarily.
I guess if you do it on like the opposite side of the stairs.
Unless it does one of these things, I mean, but no, it should be fine.
your house is one story, right?
Yeah.
Because I worked when I was in Illinois. My boss's dad, when he was a kid, he died from a ladder fall, and
Oh,
he felt he was holding on to the ladder for his dad, and his dad, fell off of there, and he was in the hospital for a few weeks, and I guess he came home. He was fine. He was okay. He got released, and then he had a heart attack and died right at the dinner table. This is like when he was like 12, and he said he felt this immense guilt because the whole time it was a Sunday, and he just wanted to be off. He grew up in the South Side, and he just wanted to be off, like playing, with his friends, playing football with his friends, and instead he had to help his dad, and then his dad ended up dying from that. But it was they had 5 kids, and the mom had never worked a day in her life. She was just a homemaker, but she raised those 5 kids, and I think they all went to college. And he said it was there was a lot of good stuff that came out of it. Like the whole neighborhood kind of came together and helped them out. And because this lady was, I guess she graduated high school, but she didn't have any. She had no work experience, whatever. And she ended up going to work and raising the 5 kids. But anyways,
right.
now you know.
Damn, that was a bummer.
Yeah, I used to work for a guy when I was doing construction. One of the contractors that I worked for was famous for falling off ladders. And I remember a couple of times being on
Chevy
like
Chase.
his name was Jim Bateman. He was like this total like hillbilly redneck type dude that had moved to Chicago, I guess looking for work when he was a kid. And but yeah, there's like all the guys I worked for, like generally had worked together and they all had their specialties and stuff. And everybody had stories about Jim falling off ladders. And I just remember doing something. It was either a gutter related thing or a shingle patching related thing, but it was like on this ladder on like a 3-story house. and he was up there doing something, and I was like the
That's
guy
too,
like right below him on the ladder
that's too
with
high.
all of the tools that I was passing up to him and like all the shit he needed. And it was like, oh my God, like he's gonna fall off the fucking ladder and take me all the way down with him.
Boy.
The good old days.
So be careful on
Oh.
Wednesday, Jeff.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be my first thing. But
You won't
I was
die.
actually
You
looking
won't
at
die from
Amazon to
that
see if they
fall,
had
but
any of those
you could be
backpack,
incapacitated.
those backpack, the ones that just like slide over your shoulders and stuff, and you got like the vacuum on the back. Those things are expensive, man. You can get a regular, just big old shop vac for probably about a third of the price. But I guess
Yeah, but you
these
can't
things
wear
are
the
more
shop
used
vac on
for
your back.
industry, so they upcharge it.
Not yet. But now we've got back shop vac. Yes. Have you ever been in a ladder 3 stories up and you
Then you have one of those little grabber things holding the hose, and you only go halfway up the ladder and just do one of these things. I'm actually thinking of some good ideas here.
Yeah, not looking at what you're doing is a great way to get the job.
Oh yeah, no, as long as you can hear it getting sucked up, if it's going, you know, grabbing shit, you'll know if it's sucking stuff up.
I say you just go old school. Just grab stuff, throw it on the ground, and just rake it up. It's not a big
Yeah, when
deal.
we were kids, we used to get up on the roof and just like fucking kneel down towards the edge and pull it out and throw it in a bucket. That wasn't the safest either.
Yeah, shit. When I was a kid, I used to jump off roofs for fun. Like somebody threw a mattress out in on the street, and you drag it back behind the house and climb up on the roof and jump off.
Norm was supposed to be 6 foot, by the way, but it was all these roof jumping injuries that stunted his growth.
I don't think I ever had a roof jumping injury, to be honest.
Well, you wouldn't remember.
Falling
you
out of
jumping
trees, on the other
into?
hand.
You jumping into a tree? Were you jumping into a bush?
Well, no, when we did the roof jumping, we jumped onto like throwing out mattresses or just the ground.
Oh, okay, well,
But
shit.
yeah, no, I think like my worst childhood fall was like I got most of the way to the top of a pretty big tree, and then the branch broke, and I pretty much hit every fucking branch on the way down, and then landed in a rock garden. And
Oh, that's not fun.
I thought I broke my arm for sure because it hurt like a bitch, but apparently not.
What I found out about broken bones is if you can feel it right away, it's not broken. If it goes numb on you, probably broken.
Yeah, when I broke my collarbone, I was really fucked up, and
You can do that, it's broken.
I knew. Now I remember, like I
You
knew I
got the
broke my
chicks that love
collarbone
you.
immediately, but I jumped back on my bike and started riding again, and then I ended up going over to somebody's house and drinking more and smoking some weed and doing all this other stuff, and I didn't remember that I broke my collarbone until I tried to pick my bike up to carry it into the house. And I was like, oh yeah, this doesn't work. Oh yeah.
You ever wake up in the morning and have a huge bruise and go, how the fuck did I get that?
All the time. That one.
Oh shit. Hey, so why don't we talk about baseball a little bit? Did you guys notice the two home runs that were robbed this week that were just amazing? It was almost looked like one guy was trying to outdo the other guy. But it was the Travis Jankowski, Texas one. He robbed the White Sox. And then I think it was Atlanta robbed Philadelphia. Austin Hayes got robbed by Michael Harris the
Yeah,
second.
I
that
heard
was
about
the
both of them. I
weirdest
didn't
one.
see either.
Judge
That's
robbed
one.
one too.
Both of those were very good home run robs. And I wonder if we can play video on here because maybe I'll look this up and show it.
Yeah, Judge got one too, and turned a double play on it.
Well, that guy's fucking 8 foot tall, so that's a different fucking story. And plus,
But,
with the
no, I
Yankees.
noticed,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
watching the
Like
top
6.
10 plays of the week from last week, and all of them were either home runs or home run robberies, other than like a walk-off single. Like one of the top 10 plays was not a home run or a home run robbery.
Okay, hold on a second. Can you hear that?
No,
Last time you played video, we could see it, but we couldn't hear it. Well, you could just do the play-by-play.
It's not showing it, is it?
Couple of Penguins.
very organized desktop.
Do they make a play? Which one makes the great grab? Oh. There's Jank. Oh.
Did you guys see any of that or hear any of that? Or you probably heard it, but
I saw Penguins and then I saw Travis Jankowski, but then it just went back. But I
okay,
think we
hold
got
on
the
a
gist of
second
it.
here.
I think we got the gist
Let
of
me
it.
just
Right, Norm?
let me just set it up. Hold on.
Jankowski kind of waddled
I want
back
to
to
make
the
sure this.
outfield
I want to
line.
see if this. I want to see if this can work. All right. You got that?
Yep.
Okay.
Bullpen there. Yeah, we only see like frames of it.
Oh no
And
shit.
that
So
pitcher
it
looks like
doesn't.
a skinny left-handed version of Rod Beck.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Chafin got. Yeah, Chafin let the drapes fall. All right. Well, let's try and. I mean, I don't know. It's like a video on video platform. I mean, I don't know if it kind of works that way with Zoom.
Well, you want
I
me to
wish it
open the
would.
standings?
Yeah, why not?
We got
Let's
lots to
go.
talk about.
But that Michael Harris one, holy shit, was that cool? So get a chance if you
Yeah,
get a chance, look that one up.
and that was like the most leisurely of home run robbing things I've ever seen.
Number one, he's not as big as Jankowski. Number two, he had to get a little farther up on that. Number three, he almost went over the goddamn wall.
Yeah,
Yeah, there were announcers on MLB Network that were saying I didn't see the catch, but they were saying that's the catch of the year. So
Yeah, well, they said Jankowski, and then the very next night, I think it was fucking Michael Harris did that shit.
yeah, he was
It's
talking
so
about the
weird that
Harris
that all
one.
happens at the same time.
there was a catch, and it was like early in the season. I forget who made it, but it was like the center fielder covered an assload of ground and did like a full layout on the warning track and like went head first into the wall after he hit the ground. And it's like, I still think that was the best catch of the year.
Oh, it's gonna be up there.
But if it happened early in the year, it's gonna.
Yeah, it happened early, and
uphill
it wasn't
battle.
like it wasn't robbing a home run. It was just, a fucking like super dangerous, like diving head first at a wall kind of thing.
You have to think too, what is their team? What's the situation, when they make that catch? You
Yeah,
know, it's if you saw that the Jankowski one is he actually saved a run, saved the game for him with that. Um, you know, was Michael Harris like were the Atlanta Braves up by 5 when he did that?
I think
And
that
it was late in the game. So I don't know, but when you have like, I mean, if you think about it too, some of these like no hitters that have happened where somebody made that just amazing ass catch out of nowhere, to save like Dwayne Weiss for the White Sox for Mark Burley's like I think perfect game, making that robbing that home run. That would be up there of plays of all time. And I mean, it's when you make that play, I think, is more important than can you make the play.
well, and if it happens in the ninth inning of the no hitter as opposed to the second inning of the no hitter, that
Yeah.
second inning play could be the best play ever, but it's not going to have the
I think there was one
Pastiche
too.
that the ninth inning home run robbery does.
I think there was one too with the Cubs, and somebody it was at San Francisco or something, or maybe it was a San Francisco no hitter where somebody made this catch, unbelievable catch in right center field, and they laid out and dove and caught the fucking ball. It was just an amazing fucking catch, even if there was not a no hitter. But the fact that he just saved a no hitter with that, and the guy ended up getting the no hitter. I can't remember which player. Maybe it had been Lincecum, one of his games.
Well,
Anyway,
Mike Baxter, left fielder for the Mets, June 1st, 2012, saved Johan Santana's no hitter. Great catch. He ran into the wall, hurt his shoulder, came out of the game. Of course, he was never much of a player, and he wasn't much of a player after that either. He had a short career.
But for that one play,
he was a hero. I think he's from Queens or very close to Queens. So it was but I was going to say that, like, you've got to win the game too, right? Endy Chavez, is that his name? Endy Chavez.
Yeah. Oh, he had a great catch.
2006 against the Cardinals, makes his catch over the wall, and then they fire the cutoff man, and they get a double play, the guy at first. But the Mets lost that game, so it kind of,
And that was in the playoffs too, right?
Yeah, that was the championship series. The Cardinals went to the World Series. Yeah, that was a tough one.
well, Buddha Kings are baked McBrides.
Yeah, same Buddha Kings. The only differences we got is Spear is now the what is it called? Paradigm pitching position player Providence. And Bizzotti's got the largest IP overage now, I think, just by an inning over maybe Knockers. I can't remember. And then Paragon's pitching pace Prudence is Hack Wilson, 11 innings over. So everybody is farther away from 0 than 11.
Wow, the fact that Baked McBrides
negative.
is -80, is that mostly, that's got to be mostly, well, God, it can't be mostly catching. I mean,
yeah, it's got to be big on catching, but it's like other places too. And look at our beloved Holy Cows, 91 innings over. I mean, under.
Well, it's because everybody that pitches for me goes on the DL for most of the season. I'm doing decent for me on games played. This is, I think, the best I've ever done at games played.
It's almost like right now you got to take like one pitching position and just stream a new, like, doesn't matter who, but just find the best pitcher available that's going that day and just like get an extra 6 starts a week. You got so much to burn, it's ridiculous. And we only got like 4 weeks left.
But the problem is like the guys available are going to get me a -3. Like, how does that help?
Hey, I mean, did you see where the fuck you're sitting right now? Who gives a shit? You can't, I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
but like right now, I think you're in last place. So
yeah,
why
and it's
not?
because of Lou and his damn fucking model.
Yeah.
Second he mentions me and his model, and it goes to shit.
The guy that created that model is going to get fired, because it's been so horrible. But I did find something that was incredible about the Cows. We'll look at it in a little bit. But this BABIP stuff, which is I guess semi-controversial, if anything on here can be actually considered controversial, but the Cows are minus 139 points based on normal BABIP, a normal BABIP. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's a hell of a lot of points. I mean, daddies are the most over, but that's 50. You're almost triple under. So, but we'll look at that in a second because we'll see why that is. Predicted top 4 hasn't changed. It's Satch is predicted to win. The model is very wimpy, right? I think this is actually the order of the standings right now anyway.
I don't know. I think your model's pretty all powerful, Lou, in that like the second that you mentioned me, I haven't won a single game.
Oh man, I was counting on you. I thought I was uncovering a gem here, people bet on DraftKings. They went to Vegas, they were take the Cows and and in the over, and oh my God, I got to change my address. It's terrible. But players of the week, we'll just finish up this page. William Contreras, once again, the cow for Bacon McBride's. I don't know how many times this has been, but it's been a lot, right? I mean, it's been a ton that he's been the cow. And Satch had Matt Olson and Dansby, Swansby. And Lawrence Butler for Let's Play. Lawrence Butler, look at the A's. I mean, like, they're supposed to suck, and they kind of do, but they're just like not that good at sucking, are they? I mean, like they still uncover these players that aren't making much. Sometimes they're not even like highly drafted players or prospects. And like Lawrence Butler, Brent Rooker. There's they always have guys like this. Seth Brown. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they trade most of them away. You don't remember, but that they were A's, but they're just a fun organization to root for, right? I mean, I get more enjoyment out of the A's than I do the Mets. It's like I don't know.
Well, think of like what if you took their minor league development people and put them in an organization like Baltimore or the Dodgers.
Yeah, why doesn't Steve Cohen?
What would the result of that be?
Why doesn't Steve Cohen just go down and hire all of the guys that work for the A's, double their salaries, and bring them over? I mean, like, I don't know.
So how long how many games do you have to play to lose your rookie eligibility? You know that answer?
I think it's a number of at-bats, because I know they're talking about the Yankees didn't call up Dominguez because he has like 35 pro at-bats, and if
I think it's a number
they can
of things,
keep him
right?
under 130,
You
he'll
have
be a
to
rookie
be
next year.
So last year in
active-
120. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think it's a number of things, though. I mean, it's like I think you have to be active for maybe 45 days before September 1st. I don't stand behind these numbers. But I think I remember 130 at bats. That rings a bell with me too. So I think it's a number of factors, that you can exceed, and then you would lose your rookie status.
Yeah, so last year Lawrence Butler, he was actually up for 42 games. I mean,
Yeah,
he did it
might
with,
be it.
he only had 123 at bats.
Yeah, 130 I
runs.
think is the max. So yeah, so they
Right.
did that on purpose.
So anyway, this year I don't know if he qualifies as a rookie, but he's probably going to get some votes for rookie of the year. I mean, he's batting 265 this year. He's got an OPS of 842, and then his runs, 52 runs, 86 hits, 19 doubles, 2 triples, 20 home runs, 53 RBIs, and that's only because he's hitting at leadoff at 6'3", 210. He's hitting leadoff.
And
He's taking
worst
walks.
teams.
He still strikes out a fuck ton. I mean, he's striking out 25% of the time. But
League average is
his
like
OB
23%, so that's not like a ton of it.
Yeah.
yeah, his OBP is 320, so that's not the best thing for a leadoff hitter. He's more of like a 2-hole, 5-hole hitter right now.
Well, he wouldn't hit leadoff for a strong team, but he's
And plus, I think like
he's good.
there's starting to move to be like, instead of the traditional batting order that we grew up with, they're putting your best hitters at the top of the lineup because you want to get them more at bats.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense.
And plus, if your leadoff hitter is the guy that would have traditionally been a number 3 or 4 hitter, when it comes to all the analytics and like, letting somebody stay in the game to face the lineup a third time, that's going to get the other team starting pitcher out of the game a little bit earlier. And unless they, they're not going to go out there and face the light hitting potential base stealing guy.
I think, before they had,
like,
the
analytics and shit.
They were looking at this one scenario, which was the first inning. And if the leadoff guy got on base, then we want the second hitter, even though he's probably our worst or second worst hitter in the lineup. We want him batting second because he can bunt him over. I mean, it was a terrible idea. Like, think about when we were kids, who would bat second in the lineup. The third, fourth, fifth, sixth hitters, at least those four were better hitters than that second hitter.
Yeah.
They were putting it there.
That second hitter
with that
was
extra
generally somebody that could put the ball in play.
Yeah, what they
one
were
way or
putting
another.
there with that extra plate appearance based on this one inning where the leadoff hitter led off the inning and got on base. I mean, it's like, that probably just happened that, maybe 35% of the games where you even had that. I mean, I guess it could have happened late in other, let's just say it was in half the games, you would have had a situation like that where the leadoff hitter got on base and then the second place hitter was bunting him over. It's like, it's such a dumb thing to do. You really want, I don't know, you really want, the Yankees are a bad example, but you know what I mean? Like this slap hitting second place hitter as opposed to like your big guns. You want him up there, getting that fifth plate appearance of the day as opposed to, one of your best hitters. I mean, it's obviously, this is a way that analytics has won because that was really dumb that they did it like that they thought of it like that.
And
Because
plus,
not every inning is the first inning, like sometimes your seventh place hitter leads off, sometimes your cleanup hitter leads off, it's.
yeah, but also there's a lot of times your ninth place hitter makes the last out. He bats ninth for a reason.
Yeah, especially when the pitchers were hitting.
Well, the Cubs just blew it. Well, not blown it yet, but they took Tyon out, put Jorge Lopez in there in the 8th inning, and the guy gave up 4 fucking runs.
Oh, geez.
to
I just picked him
Pittsburgh.
up today. I just picked up that bum today.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you play him?
I did.
Did you check your model before you picked him up?
Hold on a second. Let me tell you how many points you lost.
And I had Chad Cool, and
You
he
just
got
got
-11 today. That is not.
well.
Cool.
You got -9, so you got -20 from your pitching so
-20
far.
from those two relievers. That is not the way you win the championship, my friend.
Wait, -20 from 2 relievers?
Yeah, Chad
Yeah.
Cool. Chad not very cool.
They pitched 1.1 inning and collectively gave up 8 earned runs.
Dang.
Jorge Lopez gave up 2 home runs.
That is bad.
I mean, I can see that from 2 starters, but
3. Fucking A.
Whew, I'm off to a bad start.
Ooh. Yeah, I had a bad week.
Well, yeah, let me finish this up. So Bizzotti, who was our weekend warrior, 4-game weekend warrior, went from 1-5 to 5-1, and Jose Barrios was one of the reasons. Sean Manaea for Platinum Sombreros. Last week they had David Peterson as the starting pitcher of the week, and then they exchanged him for another lefty. I should have mentioned he was a lefty too. Another lefty Mets starting pitcher, Sean Manaea. And Let's Play also had Ben Joyce. They had 2 players of the week, and I put in the notes that they had 2 players of the week and 2 wins. They had a player of the week.
He's the guy in the Angels, right?
Yeah.
How's he scoring points?
He throws like 105.
I know, but he's on the Angels.
I know. So I was available so much. I mean, people would pick him up and then drop him, pick him up, drop him. It was just like they weren't really getting many like save opportunities and stuff. So
yeah, exactly.
But even the Angels are only like maybe 17.5 back. It's not like they're the White Sox. They're not 40-something games back. Like they're a bad team, but they're just like normal, reasonably bad.
Yeah, the White Sox are kind of a national disgrace at this point.
Yeah,
like they're not even just an embarrassment for the city of Chicago. They're like,
Dude, I swear to God, you're right on the money on that one. When you break your own record of most losses right in the beginning of September, when you had a whole
Labor Day
month to go.
I guess I should feel embarrassed because I'm always like I always think people are going off the deep end with stuff, and somebody asked, maybe it might have been Jeff or somebody else early on, like, will the White Sox win 50 games this year? I was like, oh, come on, they'll win 50. Geez. Will they win 60? That'll be the question. But, they're not even going to win 40, right? I mean, unless they get hot. so it's
That was the worst. What's the worst record ever?
well, the Mets were 40 and 120. But so they're almost a lock to break the loss record because the Mets only played 160.
Yeah, and
but even the percentage, they're on pace to break that too. I mean, they'd have to like play decent bad baseball the rest of the year to like not break either of those records.
Well, there was the thing I read the other day where they said that back in the days when the Mets were historically horrible as an expansion team, there only one team from each league made the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I wrote that.
So there was no incentive for you to make up rainouts and
I think it was more
that kind of thing. So
it was
the White Sox will have to play their 162 games almost for sure.
Sacred back then, especially because they had just switched to 162. In 1960, right? I think that's the year the American League expanded. So there was no 162 was not sacred at all back then. Plus, like you said, I mean, there was only one team in each league that made playoffs. So like there were a lot.
Yeah, you're not going to like
it wasn't important. It didn't impact anything.
Yeah, you're not going to fly the Mets to San Francisco to make up a meaningless game at the end of the season.
But now
you have to.
Now they have to because they don't know what games are going to be impactful. There's like what 2/3 of the teams are still in it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to use quotes, that's fine too. But I mean, so you got to play every game, which is fine.
Well, especially from like our standpoint as fantasy baseball players, like we want them playing every fucking game.
Yeah, I don't want Nimmo and Alonso playing 160. Come on.
So right now they're on pace to be the worst team ever. I mean, their win-loss percentage is 225. The worst win-loss percentage ever in the modern day era from 1900s on is the Philadelphia Athletics back in 1916. Their win percentage was .235.
Yeah. The Mets was 250. That's easy, man.
Right.
Man, they might be able to break the Mendoza barrier in a win percentage.
Now, the most losses in the present day era was 120, and that was the Mets, yes, in 62.
Because those other teams only played 154.
But they had a 250 percentage win percentage, 250. So
the Mets were an expansion team. So that's a big difference. Plus the Mets, the way they drafted, they weren't even really trying to optimize their win total that year. They drafted a lot of old players past their prime that were familiar with the New York fans, Dodgers and Giants. So they weren't really going for it. They weren't trying to win 60 games that first year, so that's even, that even speaks worse of the Sox, because
who was the Mets' first pick in the expansion draft?
I think it was a catcher, right? I'm not sure. No, maybe I could be thinking of what their first minor league draft choice was. Do you know?
I have no idea.
No, geez, I should know.
You're the Mets fan.
Yeah, I should know this, but I can't. I mean, I know they drafted, Don Zimmer. He was a 62 man. They had Richie Ashburn. He was their best player. And Frank Thomas. Not the big hurt, but I think he hit like 34, 36 homers that year. So they had some decent players. It was really their pitching that was very bad, and they were just very bad. Yeah. But they did draft players.
Now they'll just be bad.
Gil Hodges. I mean, they did draft familiar players that their fans would like, that were, past their time. So that team has a higher percentage than the White Sox do this year. It's so I should apologize for sticking up for the Sox at all. I knew they weren't good, not totally crazy, but I also tend to downplay things, I think. And I didn't realize just how bad the White Sox would be, you know. And now their prospects are even worse because, they've traded away some of their good players, right? So
Yeah, of course, yeah. What I mean, you don't want to pay anybody. That's their problem. Or just to appease the fans, they make a fucking stupid signing like getting Andrew Benintendi for like fucking 20-something million dollars.
well, you keep talking about Benintendi, but that's fine. If they were gonna be a normal team this year, Benintendi would have been fine.
But he's their biggest ever free agent signing, right?
Yeah.
Which
Of all
granted,
people.
I'm pretty sure Albert Bell at the time they signed him was a much bigger free agent signing.
Yeah, because that was like they made him like a
it
$10
was
million
forever ago.
man. I think it was like 4 years, $40 million.
But yeah, he was like very well paid at the time. Whereas Benintendi right now is making chump change.
Yeah, imagine that.
And it's still your biggest free agent signing.
The White Sox actually pried somebody away from their former team. It's been a long time, right? It's probably been 30 years since that's happened.
Didn't the White Sox end up trading him to Baltimore? I think so.
Maybe. I can't remember.
Sean,
but I think that was like right around the time I joined the beer league, I think.
Yeah, your first year was 97.
So it was right around. He was either like right before or right after. But I remember Albert Bell was like a, fantasy stud back when I joined the league.
Yeah, he probably deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's certainly better than players that are in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I hate to keep bringing up Harold Baines, but Albert Bell is way better than Harold Baines, way better.
Harold Baines is in the Hall of Fame?
Yes. Well, he didn't get, he got the Veterans Committee.
Oh, okay.
It was a couple years ago.
But still, that's a stretch. I mean, he was a good player.
That's a real stretch. And I mean, even Harold Baines would say that's a stretch.
And he was even like
stretch
pretty much a DH for most of his career too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he did play some outfield, but he's not like Edgar Martinez. But
is Edgar Martinez in the Hall?
I think he is.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was.
There were a lot of people like questioning that one because he didn't play the field. Well, he did start as a catcher. Played a little first base.
He was a catcher, first baseman, maybe, but he didn't last long. I remember
him as a catcher.
His eyesight kind of went out like during, like his eyes went bad while he was still like, not in his prime, but plenty of people have played longer than him.
Yeah.
But he just couldn't see anymore.
Well,
probably
you
back
need
before
that
LASIK and
play
stuff.
baseball.
Getting back to the White Sox for a second, I haven't watched. I've only watched a handful of games, and I guess this is an obvious statement, but the games I've watched, there would be so little improvement in the team that would have resulted in wins. Like they're you know what I mean? Like there's just like a level that you need to get. Like in the White Sox case, it's a lot of it could be, well, besides lineup. I mean, a lot of it can be attributed to what happens after the starters get out of there. Their starters ERA is decent, or even good. I don't know what it is, but they've blown the most lead. They had this thing, games that you've won when you were trailing minus games that you lost when you were leading, and the White Sox have the all-time record. I think they at least had equaled the all-time record. So what does that tell you? Okay, that could tell you like that you're not clutch. But probably what it tells you is that your starters are much better than your bullpen. You know, so they just didn't finish this team, right? I mean, they didn't. It's not like, you know, I've got a ton of those guys on my my AL Roto team, you know. So it's not like these guys are so horrible, but they just didn't finish the team. Like they didn't, you know. The Cubs were sort of like this too, like where you have a bunch of guys that are decent. I'm not saying that there's a bunch of guys in the Sox that are decent, but you know what I mean. Like your bench, you have a bench level player starting. Not that he's a bad player, but he probably shouldn't be starting for you. And then in the Sox case, you know, they've got this bullpen that you know, that's the last thing you finish with the team, right? It's your bullpen, right? And they didn't finish it, you know, and so they had leads. I think they've lost 50. It's definitely over 50 games that they had the lead. It's 51, 57. I can't remember what the number was. But that's
I think they just. I think they had a really, even to start, even last year, they had a really bad managing group. You know, this
Yeah.
Pedro Gaffal guy and the guys he brought in were not good.
Well, and plus you look at it and all these guys they're trading away in, you
Well,
know,
look
like
at
the
Kopech since
tear
he's been with
down and the rebuild. Those were all the guys that were supposed to be their last rebuild.
Yeah.
You know, like the Eloy Jimenez, uh, Luis Robert, uh, Dylan Cease, Kopech.
Yeah.
Like those were all the guys, like the young guys they got because of trading away their good players, and they were supposed to be
Kopech,
building for the future. That was like supposed to be this year and last year, like Moncada, like, you know, those type of dudes, and they all seem to have fallen flat or been injured or whatever.
I
But
think
like
the
that
injuries is the
whole
big
last
thing. I
rebuild
think
didn't work, and now
the
they're
injuries
even worse.
the injuries is like the thing that changed everything. I think this thing could have worked if, you know, Robert and Jimenez and Makata had actually been healthy players. You know, they would have changed everything. It would have changed their outlook and how and who they kept. And but it was just huge. They counted on these guys. I don't even know. I don't even know that that is so much any team's fault when you just got a guy that guys more than one guy. You know, they can't stay healthy. Maybe analytics know that already and they don't have it, or maybe that's just bad effing luck. You know, I
Yeah,
mean, I can't think of too many things that like I analyze, you know, I can analyze other teams' moves and go like that move made no sense or that was a terrible idea. You know, the Sox are not in first place in that analysis. You know what I mean? Like I just think that like whatever they've done, just, you know, just hasn't worked. Like kind of like what the Marlins have done. I mean, I mentioned them before that I don't think that the things that they've done were bad at the time, but they sure haven't worked. You know?
yeah. But I mean, the Marlins do it all the time, and it works, you know, once every decade or so.
But you know, the Marlins traded Cabrera, and I had said a couple of weeks ago that was I was confused drinking uh, that it was the Rays, but maybe we should look at the Marlins a little bit more like the Rays now because Peter Bendix moved from the Rays to the Marlins, and you know Jeter's gone, Kim Ng's gone. Not that she did a bad job at all, but maybe this Peter Bendix is a smart dude because the guys they got in that Orioles trade look. I liked Stowers
Oh,
for no good reason. I would just, you know, I just liked him, and he's done well, and Norby's done really well. And it's a short time to look at things, but and Cabrera went back to the minors. So the short term look in that trade is like Jesus Christ, it looks good. So maybe
yeah. I
the
thought they ripped off the Orioles in that one.
Marlins needle is maybe, you know, maybe it's looking up. Maybe this Peter Bendix guy is going to be really good for them. And the Orioles just they have all the bullets, and they just didn't use the right ones. I mean, like there's no reason that for them to have this year that they're gonna. It looks like they're gonna have where they're gonna fall short. Again, we don't know
Yeah.
that either, but
They
geez,
shot a few bullets in the air, is what they did.
Yeah. Yeah, the
they
guys
could
they
have
traded
gotten,
for what was it, Rogers?
yeah, and Eflin,
Like if
Eflin,
they look at
Eflin came
all
back
the
and
other
pitched a good
pitchers that got
game.
moved for like half that package that are way better than him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just seems like they could have really brought in an ace. I
Yeah,
don't
they
know if the
probably
ace
could have
is,
gotten like Snell for what they gave up for Rogers.
yeah, like Mayo. If you're looking at this year, which you should, because you know how these windows are. You don't know what happens. You've got the
Trade
chance to
Mayo?
win.
No, they kept him.
They kept him. Yeah, he just came.
Mayo.
Mayo.
Yeah, they just
Oh.
called Mayo up because he's replacing that guy that I picked up
No, but I
that
was
was
saying
doing
like
good and
you
got
could have
injured.
traded Mayo. I'm saying you could have traded Mayo and maybe got like a real ace, not an Eflin, not a Cabrera. Oh, no, not Cabrera. Trevor Rogers. Who they was it? Rogers they
I
got?
think it was Rogers that they got.
Yeah, I get those guys mixed up.
But I mean,
Cabrera,
there were a couple of other, like, what's his face? Flaherty went for nothing. They could have had him instead of Rogers for probably even less than they spent on Rogers.
Yeah.
And I think there was one trade somebody made a really bad trade early on for a pitcher. And then the Orioles kind of were like, hold my beer, and made their trade. And then
Well, the Astros got Kikuchi.
people that held out.
People thought
That was the one.
too
Oh,
much.
they way overpaid for him.
Yeah, that was. Oh, I'll tell you what, though, Loper Fido, maybe there's something they know that we don't know. I mean, I caught on to him at the very end of his little run after being moved to a different team. How every player does that. They always have that little
Except for
spurt.
Kevin Biggio.
Even look at what's his name that got traded to Tampa for 80s. Morel. He had a couple of home runs in his first couple games and cooled off. But Loper Fido, he cooled off, and I just okay, enough is enough. Had to put him back into the
Yeah,
pool.
people
Let the guppies
thought,
swim around and become a fish.
at least at first, people thought the Astros might have, given up too much for Kikuchi. But then, he's pitched okay for him. So who's to say?
Yeah.
Who's to say? But the Orioles, that still doesn't say anything definitive about the Orioles. Like they had more bullets that they didn't use, and instead of maybe getting these middle of the road guys, they could have gotten like a difference maker. Because like Corbin Burns is, I guess he pitched okay today, but he's not. He's come back to earth. So like at a time when they really don't need him, they really need him not to come back to earth. But I don't know. If this year's not their year and it's not really looking like it, yeah, they might be around next year too. But
Oh, they're going to be around for a long time.
These things change. Like when you have the window, you got to go for it because it's just so much uncertainty. You never know what's going to happen.
The sweet spot. If you miss it, you're fucked. I mean, look at the Cubs. Like everybody that got from their World Series team and stuff when they got rid of them, like 3 years later. What have they gone on to done? Rizzo was playing okay in New York, but he's not great. Ryan's been just a bust for Colorado. Javier Baez has been a bust for the Detroit Tigers. The only one that's kind of playing up to it and done pretty well wherever he's gone is Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, sure.
I'm
picking the wrong time.
Out of baseball, Hayward.
I mean, Chapman's kind of done okay.
You think he's getting the closer role back from the Pirates? I mean, Bednar has just been shitting the Bednar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dropped him today, and that's why I picked up Jorge Lopez. No.
Yeah.
I had already dropped Bednar. I picked up Manuel Rodriguez, and then I dropped him, and I picked up Jorge Lopez just in time for his -11. So that feels good.
Ouch.
I had to go
Sorry,
refresh
dude.
my drink here, gentlemen.
Jeff,
Yeah,
we
I've
can
got
say
something
whatever
to
we
show
want. He
you
can't
here
hear
real
us.
quick.
What?
While he's gone here, let me show you this. If you want to refer to this a little bit later.
It's not a nudie, is it?
No, it's just baseball reference showing like basically. I just picked out our favorite teams anyway. Show the White Sox down here too. Oops. But you can like highlight. There's Norm's team. But like, I mean, it's kind of cool to see some of this stuff. I mean, you can like also just click and it sorts it. Like, who's got the best home record in all of baseball right now is the New York Yankees. The Padres and the Orioles are right behind them. Best home record, Philadelphia. The average is 68. But Philadelphia got the best home record. Dodgers, Guardians.
The average home record is 68.
Yeah, that's what it says up here.
That seems weird. Usually it would be, 5 or 6% toward the good for the home team. 4 or 5% anyway.
It's weird.
I guess they're probably all connected because they're all called the same, but I use baseball reference, pro football reference, basketball, even hockey reference. I use those sites all the time.
Here's the best teams against left-handed pitching. Yeah, the Guardians are first, Dodgers second, Braves, and then the Phillies. Crazy. And then against right-handed pitching, New York Yankees first, Milwaukee Brewers second.
Oh, that's so weird because the Yankees' problem for like the last decade is not having any fucking lefties.
Do they have something? Do they have the
Whoever they've
difference?
got is rushing off the right
Do they
hand.
have the difference in percentage between
Soto?
lefty pitching and
Yeah.
righty pitching? That would be interesting if they had it. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
That would be good. Because otherwise, you're just going to be looking at good teams, probably.
So check this one out. More or equal to 500 teams. So if a team is 500 or more, the Yankees are beating those guys. They're beating the tough teams. So are the Brewers, so are the Phillies. So are the Braves. Less than 50.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true, but that would be something that would make you think that they can do well in the playoffs.
Right.
But who knows? It might be
But
absolutely not
Minnesota's
true.
right now, Minnesota is beating the shit out of the little guys. The Royals have been, so this is what happens when
I'll
you
be
have the
right
White
back.
Sox in your division.
You
Wait,
guys talk. I'll be right back.
So you got the Twins.
oh, okay.
the
I'm looking at the wrong
Royals.
column.
Yeah.
Oh, so the Yankees are barely keeping their head above water against the under 500 teams, but they're kicking the shit out of the over 500 teams.
Right.
And I'm guessing the
Look at
White Sox are in the bottom of both of these.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 12 and 28 against teams under 500.
Well, Jesus, they're 20 games back of the second worst team in the whole fucking all of baseball.
Right.
That's
So
crazy.
the last 30 games. Here's
Like
the
I knew
best
they
teams.
sucked, but I didn't realize it was that bad.
Here's the best teams in the last 30 games. The Arizona Diamondbacks in the last 30 games is the best team out there. Houston Astros are second. San Diego Padres third. Chicago Cubs tied with the San Diego Padres. And then you got the Dodgers and the Brewers right after that, followed by Detroit Tigers. They've had a run. They are having a run, which is good because I picked up Jay Foley. Got him out of his van down by the river. No, I just like this like Major League Baseball detailed standings thing here. It's pretty cool. Best win streaks right now. The Cubs have 6, Houston 5, New York Mets 4, Detroit 2, and there's a bunch of people that got 2.
Oh, I should have got more ice.
There. Extra innings this year. Padres are great in extra innings, 7-1. You got the Rangers that are 9-2, Guardians 8-3, Cubs are 7-3, and the Braves are 11-5. How many extra inning games are you going to play in a season? Jesus, that's 16 of them.
Mets got 14.
Marlins 8-9, so they've been in 17 of them.
So the teams you mentioned seemed like a good number of them had decent bullpens. That's what you would expect. Guardians,
Tampa Bay Rays are
Padres.
leading the pack with one-run games. They have 25-15 record and one-run outings.
That's probably a little lucky.
Well, look where the White Sox are. They're 9-27 on those.
Once again.
But the Cubs are 20-26. If it wasn't for the one-run game, the Cubs would be in a great position right now.
Do they have the White Sox the starters ERA versus the relievers ERA? Because I think it's got to be the most in baseball. I'll guess anyway.
Well, let's see if we can figure this out.
Let me get some more ice.
I don't think I can switch between reliever and starter here.
Oh, we could look at just ERAs here.
Yeah, as a team, you're 4.8.
But scroll back up. Like their main starters, 529, 361, 311, 470, 548. That doesn't seem all that good to
Well,
me.
this looks old as shit because Fetty isn't a starter anymore.
But he's not even on the team.
Right. Garrett Crochet, is he shut down?
I don't
Chris
think
He's
so.
Flexen
going
is
like
2
4
and
or 5 innings. He's not pitching. He's like 80 pitches or something.
Chris Flexen is shit. 2-13. He's got a whip of 1.511.
Yeah, he's worse.
He's got 94 strikeouts and 135.1 innings pitched. Jesus. It's
I
like,
think his
what
ERA
are you
is
guys
pretty
doing?
decent. For that whip, I think his ERA is all right. What's his
The
ERA?
ERA is 5.29.
Oh, no. That's about where you'd expect.
He's got 9.9 hits per 9 innings, 1.3 home runs, 3.7 walks.
What is their team ERA from the starters? Can you see that?
You can't split the two.
I can do it on Fangraphs. I'll look at it. But I know it's a big difference. It's just an indication that that team just wasn't finished. But like I said, when I watched the Mets games against the White Sox, and then some scattered Sox games, you can see that there's games that they could have won. Not even being like some great team, but just being a little bit better, they would have won those games. The Mets swept them, and the Mets didn't really play that great. Any other team probably would have won one of those 3 games, and a good team would have won 2 of them. But that goes without saying. But I'm just saying, like, the difference between what the Sox are doing and what a normal bad team, 400 win percentage team would do is not that much, But I guess there's not much incentive to be a 400 win percentage team. That's kind of the thing.
Right. All right. My turn to run and go get a drink.
All right.
And then have a smoke, let the dog out and take a wee wee.
But we all know now that the White Sox
Not in that order.
can't pick more earlier than 10th. Sean told us about that in May, and now I've seen a bunch of stuff about it
Wait, why?
because they're considered a big market team, and they can't. If you're not like a small market revenue sharing team, I don't know how they put it. I don't know what they call you.
Can't tank like that.
You can't pick more than 2 years, maybe it's 3, in the top 10.
Huh.
You can't have like a lottery pick. I don't know. I don't know what.
Well, and the other thing
So
is
the
they get the
earliest,
lottery
anyways,
now.
the bottom line is the earliest the Sox can pick next year, even if they win one game the rest of the year, is 10. It doesn't matter, So it's like there's no tanking for any real purpose in baseball.
Yeah,
I
and
think
plus
it's
with
to save
the
your
lottery
salary.
now, tanking's not really
Say
a
it again?
guarantee. They have that lottery system now, so even regardless of what happened, they can't pick earlier than 10th.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be guaranteed in any year to get the number 1 pick by being the worst team by a
No,
long
but
shot.
they would certainly be able to pick earlier than 10.
Yeah.
And who needs it more than they do? I don't think you can name a team that would need it more than they do.
Oh, I would say the Yankees need a good high pick. They haven't had one in a long time.
But I do feel sort of a little bit embarrassed that I stuck up for the Sox because I just didn't realize the extent of the problem. Because I looked at them and I was like, they're fine. I knew they weren't good, but I really didn't think that they would win less than 50 games. They're not even going to win 40. So that was a bad prognostication. But I think that's my personality. Like things are really bad, and I'm just going to say, it's not as bad as you think.
Yeah, no, they're just kind of like a colossal shit show that went sideways and pear-shaped all at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, God, we forget about it now, but it wasn't very many years ago that they looked like they were going to dominate the Central.
Yeah, like all those guys that they
Might have just been 3 years ago.
traded this year
We're
and
thinking,
or like held on to. Those were the guys that were supposed to be. They were supposed to create the window, in a few years, and this is the few years that window was supposed to be open, and it just is the worst year in history. Something went horribly wrong.
I still think that whenever they decide to compete, they won't be more than a couple of years away from competing in that division because it doesn't really take much. It takes less than you think. Like I said, this Sox team, if it was just a little better in certain places, they would have won a hell of a lot more games than they've won, maybe twice as many. But of course, twice as many is still not going to get you anywhere. So I think maybe that's what they were thinking. Like, yeah, why should we try to be a decent team when it's still not going to get us anywhere? And I can't answer that. I mean, I know there's other.
Well, and then they kind of like, started the teardown, and then fucking Crochet sort of hit them below the waterline with his contract demands for pitching the postseason. Because he could have gotten them a ton of prospects. Like he could have fixed their farm system if they could have traded him, but then he said the contract stuff, and then all of a sudden nobody wanted to.
I don't know if he's
give
on
up the
board.
farm for him anymore.
I don't know if he's on board with these innings pitched limitations, but if he isn't, then he has himself to blame because he couldn't have said a worse thing. If what he wanted was to not have limitations and to pitch on a different team than the worst team ever, it was within his control. I mean, he would have been somewhere else.
Oh yeah, but at the same time, I don't blame him. I mean, like, what was his highest innings ever pitched in a season was like 50 or 60 or maybe 80 at most, and he's already blown way past that. And then, you get traded to, Atlanta or Houston or somebody, Baltimore, and they make you pitch big innings for the rest of the year and postseason of high leverage innings, and you blow your arm out, and then, oh yeah, you're under contract for this year.
You're saying what if they had Sabathia, huh? Right, like the Brewers did with Sabathia.
Yeah.
They abused that guy, 10 innings, and of course,
Well, that was back in the day when people could do that still, but
Sabathia is 300 pounds or whatever.
and he also, like, it wasn't like he'd never pitched, that kind of, I mean, they did abuse him, but it wasn't like he hadn't pitched a lot of innings before that. Like, he'd been a workhorse for years, where Crochet hasn't been. Like,
Well, what if Crochet had kept his mouth shut and he got traded to the Dodgers, let's say, or the Orioles or something, and then he said, like, look it, I ain't gonna pitch in the postseason unless I guess he would look like a real malcontent. I mean, he already looks like a malcontent, but I guess he would look like a supreme malcontent right, at that point. So I guess he did the right thing. If that's what he's thinking.
Well, I mean, he's in what is obviously the worst organization in pro baseball, hands down at this point. So why does he want to risk, his potential future earnings when he's really not guaranteed anything?
But then you would think, like, if he acknowledges that he's in the worst organization, why wouldn't he just keep his mouth shut and get the hell out of there? And then
because
deal with what comes.
Yeah, that's another way of going about it. But if what they were asking for him, the acquiring team is expecting a dude that's going to be a workhorse and pitch in the postseason. And, if that brings him up to like 4 times the amount of innings he's ever pitched in a single season, and you're that dude that's betting on your arm earning you, fuck you money over the course of the next few years, you might not want to put that at risk.
He probably did the right thing because they'll still trade him in the off season when everything slows down and he'll go where he should. The Sox, it's not like this guy was born to be a reliever. I mean, the Sox, the Sox, he was a reliever for the Sox, then he became a starter. It's not, he could have been a starter from the get-go. So
yeah, I mean, if the Sox had their, ducks in a row, they might have made him a starter a long time ago. The fact that he just started starting this year is probably A, desperation on their part, and B, he could have been prepared for this a little bit better than he was, obviously.
Well, it could have been a plan that didn't work too. They might have been like, if we make Crochet a starter, we'll get more out of him in the trade market, and then he kind of blew that.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he made a mistake for himself.
Yeah, no, I think he probably did the right thing for himself, but
and I guess he might have done the right thing, even if you look at the other team's perspective, right? If they had traded two prospects for him, and then he drops this bomb, and then like, guess what? I ain't pitching in the postseason, if I don't have a and be like, oh shit, man, we just traded Mayo and Gerstad for you fucker,
Yeah, that wouldn't go over good with the acquiring team, I'm sure.
Well, let's look at the standings finally, and we'll concentrate on stuff that affects us the most. I mean, some Brewers went 6-0, and the Cows went 0-6. And Norm, you're 0-18 the last 3 weeks.
I blame your model.
Yeah, it's incredible. And you can't even get over there. But I think you're 4-32. What is going on with why can't I do this? No. I can do it, but I think you're 4-32 from memory in the last 6. Sombreros climbed out of last. They've been out of last for 1 week, I think. Early in the year they probably weren't in last, but I think at the end of May they climbed out of last, something like that. And but now they're 5 games out of last. It's going to take some doing for them to come in last now. Just 24 games left. And up at the top, Satch had an okay week, 4-2, and they actually increased their lead over second by a half game. Last week it was Knockers 3 games back, and now Knockers are third and Gags are second. But the important thing for Satch, they don't care who they beat; they just care that they win, and they've actually increased it by a half game to 3.5. Anything else here? So the Dads had their first losing week since July 14th.
Yeah, that was a bummer. I
So
picked up that Albert Suarez. I know was it somebody from the Padres, I think. I don't know, Randy Vasquez.
Vasquez with an S.
Yeah, he fucked me.
I noticed that.
Fucker.
I didn't know you had him, but I noticed that star.
Oh, from the Padres?
Yeah, I picked him
Yeah,
up.
I
just
picked
for
him up
spot
and he
start.
screwed me too. Like I had him for a
And,
couple of weeks and
I looked at his like past starts. I'm like, well, he can't hurt me that bad. Bullshit.
yep. No, and he was one of the guys in the Soto trade. So I kind of like, he was untested at the major league level at this point, but it seemed like, he's doing okay. He's playing a shitty team. And no, -12.
It was fucking terrible.
So who else? Well, I talked about how Bizzardi went from 1-5 to 5-1, but Bizzardi's in 6th. They're only a half game out of 5th. I mean,
It's become quite the race for most draft dollars and best waiver position.
Yeah, I mean, Bizzardi, the model has been critical of Bizzardi because they're overages. So we'll see if that catches up with them. But they're only a half game out of 5th, and this is not a bad place to be. I mean, if you don't win any money that year, this is where you want to be.
Yeah, but they're also only like a game out of 7th.
We've got 4 weeks left.
Yeah.
This week and 3 more, and that is it.
Yeah. But I wanted to talk about the cows thing for a second because I found something that's just nuts. And I even had to go over and I was like, oh, I was sure there was a mistake because it's so crazy. And there still might be a mistake because I wouldn't put it past me, but I don't think so. But here's the predicted final. It finally has the cows in last, but only around 2 games behind Sombreros. There's fractional games in here. So, but only about 2 games.
Why is Let's Play in 8th place there?
This is predicted.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't think this is sorted right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me sort it. So, bunch of stuff. Labor Day, I'm doing it on my little netbook. I'm just gonna make as many excuses as I can. So I don't think I want data. All right. This is the way it should look. Yeah, Let's Play.
That's
Predicted for
much
5th.
a lot better.
Thank you, Jeff.
No problem, man.
So cows are only 2.2 games back of wait till next year. So it's got Sombreros actually predicted for 10th. And Bizzardi, even though they're in 6th and only half game out of 5th, they're predicted for 8th. So we'll see what kind of credence you can lend to the model. It's already been very embarrassed by the cows' struggles. Right at the point when we said, "Hey, watch out for the cows. They're a dark horse, so to speak, for the rest of the year." But here's what I wanted to point out, which was nuts, I thought, about the cows. Now you can look at for the year. Let's look at their ranks. Okay, cows ranks for the year. 10th. Right, these are the best two probably to look at for overall rate wise, and 10th. If you're not keeping up in your games, then you're going to be worse than 10th. And your games are under. So, but as far as rate stats, you're like 10th. Daddies are 4th. But here's where the craziness I thought happened. Like so here's Daddies, 12th in ERA, 12th and 5th, right? Okay, that's reassurance that you're where you should be. Cows are 10th in ERA, 2nd and 5th. I mean, there's no other team that has that kind of a range.
Yeah.
What is it? Who's that? All right, Hack is 5th in ERA, 8th and 5th. And the next team over, Let's Play is 8th in ERA, 4th and 5th. So maybe their ERA should be better than it is. But look at this. Cows are 10th in ERA, but 2nd and 5th. K minus BB, another decent measure, 4th. So there's no way that your ERA should be this low. And if you look at BABIP, you're last.
Have you been having like really bad like save opportunities?
Yeah, to a degree.
Like, or have your like relievers been giving up like 3, 4 runs and shit like that to make it like
Not very
skew?
often.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
But you have the highest BABIP, pitching, against BABIP in the league, right? You're 307. The league average is 290. So you can see the difference here. And then when I do that,
and that's betting against my pitchers.
yeah. So you can look at, take this for what it's worth. I know Phil is not a giant fan of this. And he's probably right in some degree. I don't say that, oh, this is all luck. But what I read was that 64% of a hitter's BABIP is luck. 36% is his to do with his speed and his skill. Pitching BABIP is even higher. 75% is not luck, and 25% is. So you can, I'm not standing behind this. This is just what I read. I didn't discover this for myself. So I just took that as face value. So it's just in the model. It only affects the model. But this is incredible. I mean, the Dads are the luckiest BABIP team in the league at plus 50, right? You're the least lucky, and it's almost triple that. 139 points that you've.
Yeah, the next closest is minus 45.
Yeah. So, I mean, even if you have a healthy amount of skepticism about what BABIP says, and this is just straight BABIP, it's not adjusted for hard hit rate, your speed. But remember that this is your whole staff. This is 11 pitchers, and 14 hitters. So it should even out somewhat. So there's almost no doubt. I can't see it another way. There's almost no doubt that you have gotten extremely unlucky this year with your BABIP. So if you're looking at a culprit, I mean that BABIP is to be 10th in the league in ERA and 2nd and 5th. That's crazy for the season.
And here I thought it was just the injuries.
Yeah. And then I did this for the week, so we can see what kind of week you had. I guess this formula gets screwed up if there's anybody that had a 0 in their denominator for stolen base attempts, so that fucks it up for everybody else. But we see cows are just dead last across the board for the most part, right? Bad hitting week. And then pitching was, 8th and 5th, 11th in ERA, 11th in runs per game. So just a horrible week. Actually, you know what? maybe the rank isn't so interesting for the week. We can just look at what the actual stats were. So you had a 5.44, no, 5.54 ERA for the week. And there
Where's a
wasn't any,
5.69?
yeah, I think this is, might be Kimmler. No, it's Baked. Baked McBride's had a
Yeah, he was a 1 and 5
5.69.
with me. Yeah, we were both 1 and 5 this week.
I apologize, John.
I
You
was
had
like
a,
7.9,
John had a
4.72.
4.72. Oh, so not good for him either. But and you can see Satch 2.78. Last week he was like a 2 point something. His FIP was a 1 point something. So he's pitching well down the stretch.
What are his innings like?
He is over, but not as much as Bizzotti or Knockers. I don't think. Let me see. Satch is 66 over. So you've got Bizzotti 90 over, then Knockers are 77, and then Satch is 66. So he's over, but he's not leading.
Gambler 63.
Yeah. Where's Dad's? 25 over. Cows are 91 under.
Which that's amazing because I was down a lot early because I drafted a bunch of injured guys and I had a bunch of guys get injured right away. But I was like kind of keeping it in the 30 to 40 range for a while, and it's just exploded lately.
Yahoo currently says I'm at 17.1
What?
innings over.
Yeah, Yahoo bases it on, well, this year doesn't make much of a difference. They base it on the 1850. Ours is based on our custom, but it's only 1/3 of any difference this year. But the bigger difference is that I'm basing this on games played for the year, and Yahoo bases it on days left in the season. So they'll take days left in the season divided by games, days during the season.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think this is better, but anyways, but some years, we have like an 8 inning difference between what it says in Yahoo and what we're doing. I think it's funny that Yahoo doesn't really know what we're doing, right? They don't know about our win-loss thing. They don't know that this team's not really in sixth or in fourth. They don't know that. But
Well, it looks like Juan Soto's going to get one more at bat. He's second up, and then we got Judge coming up again. How about Ohtani? Holy shit, he just stole 3 bases, and now he's at like 46 stolen bases.
Yeah, he was at 43 this morning.
You know what I'm starting to realize about Ohtani? And I guess it's not necessarily a good thing. It's certainly good for MLB, but I think that he thinks about this stuff. I think he thinks about what his stolen base numbers are, what his home runs, like being 50-50.
He's striving and he's making that team win, then so fucking be it.
Right. No, I'm not going to disagree with you, but there's something there that's not
honor.
I don't know. It's not quite right? I mean, let's face it. A stolen base is like Jesus. Would you rather have of course, 50-50 is it's good no matter how you slice it. But let's not forget that a home run is worth, according to linear weights, a home run is worth like 6 stolen bases or 5 stolen bases. I mean, it's it's not even close. I mean, it's kind of like batting for the cycle. Like, what's more impressive, batting for the cycle or hitting 3 homers in the game? I don't know. It's just like, I'll take the homers.
Well, it'd be interesting to see how much he keeps running once he starts pitching again.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't stealing bases like this with the Angels.
Yeah, I didn't know this about him. I didn't know much about him actually, and but I see that he understands this stuff. He understands that it would be something 50-50. He understands the Hollywood of it.
He got 3 stolen bases today, so that puts him at 46. He's got 44 home runs, 46 stolen bases.
Oh, he'll get to 50-50 easy.
You would think, he's got 3 weeks to do it. I think he
4 weeks.
wants to probably, he's just probably, when he gets on base, he's just probably trying to get the 50 out of the way on the stolen bases. So we could just focus on the hitting part of it.
Yeah.
Might have it by the time
Because
the
I mean,
Bills
you're
lose their
stealing
first
3
game.
bases in one game. It's like, okay, number one, the fucking guy has 40 something stolen bases. Why aren't you trying to keep him close to the bag? How is he fucking stealing these bases?
They took away the pitcher's ability to do that. With the limiting the number of moves and the pitch clock and
That's true.
like,
Yeah.
dude, like if there was a pitch clock involved when I was playing baseball, I would have been off to second base like the second that, one had been up there for half a second. I'm gone because you have to fucking throw the ball.
Right.
It's
So
all
yeah,
about
he's gotten twice as many stolen bases as he's ever gotten. I mean, well, besides like his 2021 year where he was MVP of the league. He's 46 home runs, 100 RBIs. He had 26 stolen bases that year.
well, it's because he saw all
And
the people that Acuna got last year, right? So he's like,
Yeah.
oh, all right, yeah. Well, I'll do 50.
But the bigger bases helps marginally. But I think the limiting the number of throws and step offs and stuff like that's a huge advantage to anybody that wants to steal a base.
But it's all a balance. They could change the rules back, They could make it where like you have to do a somersault through like a set up, 10 feet away from first base before something to make it harder for you to steal. I mean, who knows? The percentage might get so high that they want to, dial it back a little bit.
Ohtani right now is 5 hits away from getting his, if he gets 6 hits, he will have the most hits he's ever had in a season in the United States.
New Balance.
He's already got this year more runs scored than he's ever gotten before.
Well, he's also not pitched this year too. Like he's been concentrating on hitting all this season instead of being distracted by having to pitch every so many days.
And his dog, right? And his new wife.
Yeah.
New Balance. New Balance.
Interesting.
But I do have to admit, he's pretty good.
If he gets to 50-50, and I'm sure he'll be, 50-something, but is that more impressive than Acuna's season last year?
Yeah.
Like he was 40?
Is it more impressive than Marcell Ozuna winning the Triple Crown? That's what they were asking. Guess what? I got news for you. Ozuna's not winning the MVP,
Yeah, I was looking at Judge's stats the other night, and he's like winning the home runs by a giant margin. He's winning RBIs by a giant margin, and he's hitting like 330 or something. And he's in second place in the AL in batting average to Witt, who's got him by like 10 or 15 points, I believe. But he's like, a hot streak and a Bobby Witt cold snap from being a Triple Crown contender.
I mean, unless he tails off, I don't think that you could vote for Witt over Judge for MVP. And I understand Witt plays shortstop. That's a big deal.
Yeah, but Judge is playing center field.
Yeah, Judge is not.
It's like the second most important place.
DH. I mean, he's a decent outfielder. He's at least average. I think even last year his metrics were, this much above average at center field. And he's a very good right fielder. So it's not like you're comparing him to Edgar Martinez or something like that. I mean, if I had a vote, if it was done today, I don't think how could you not vote for Judge? And to think of it that he actually didn't turn it on until the end of April is incredible, because you look at his numbers for the season, like there's no slow April in those numbers, but there is. I mean,
oh yeah, his first month or two was not much. at least from like the home run standpoint.
I mean, the Knockers, I'm sure the Knockers are big fans because that's a big advantage when you've got one player that's given you 200 more points than somebody else would have, you know, some other decent player would have given you, you know. Yeah. He's amazing. I don't love him or anything like that. He's a Yankee, you know, but he's incredible.
And he's not an asshole.
Yeah,
You
he's
know,
a decent guy.
There's always a nice thing from a
Yeah.
superstar.
Yeah, he's not smug. He's not smug like Jeter or something. Yeah, I always hated Jeter, and of course, Jeter was never nearly as good as Judge. Not even in the same ballpark.
Hey, I got a
Oh.
guy. Remember this game we used to play here? It was like basically if you figure out a guy, it's 20 questions to figure out who the hell this
Oh, God,
guy
this
is.
was like we used to do this shit at Lemmings, right?
Oh, we did it. Well, remember we were doing it in the backyard when we came up to Arizona that one time. And then we were doing a little bit of lemmings. We were doing it here when we were out of the draft.
In
But it's
Sessions
just
and Rock Cup.
yeah, and Rock Cup.
All right, I got my guess. Mike Jorgensen.
Well, you
Ron
gotta ask the
Karkovice.
question. You gotta ask the question first.
Can't we just do the guesses?
You just gotta do a question first. I mean, you gotta figure it out through a list, a line of like it's gotta be like an investigation thing,
I don't
man.
think we'd be able to get it with the, you know, choosing from several thousand baseball players.
Fuck no.
Okay.
All right. So, what's your first question?
Is he a baseball player?
Yes,
Or
that's
was
one.
he? Oh, no, wait. Was he a baseball player?
Yes, that's one.
Okay. All right. Norm, we got that.
So he was a baseball player.
Which means he's not currently a baseball player.
Is he a hitter?
Yes. It's two.
Are we doing did he play in the 1980s?
Yes.
Primarily?
Three.
Primarily? Is that I should have said did he play primarily in the 1980s? I want to amend my question. If you will allow it, Judge.
Yes, yes.
Norm is consulting his magic eight.
Wait, so he was primarily in the 80s?
Primarily, yes.
He was a hitter and he was a baseball player. That's for me. That was my first question. We established that.
Okay, so did he play for one team during the 1980s?
Yes.
Ooh. Was this team a baseball team?
I'm not gonna count that one. Shut the fuck up, man. Jesus Christ.
I'm not taking Rock Cup seriously enough.
This isn't called Rock Cup.
I know. Was he an infielder?
Partially.
Which league did he play in?
You have to ask a question in like, did he play for such and such, or did he play for so and so?
Otherwise, you could be like, what's his name?
Did he play for an American League team?
Yes.
Okay, so 80s, played with one team, hitter.
Infielder.
Well,
Infielder,
both.
outfielder.
So that like eliminates a lot of people.
Are you asking?
So we're looking at corner infield and corner outfield. 80s American League. Played with one team in the entire decade. And his career was primarily in the 1980s. This is my understanding.
Let's put it this way: he only had 143 games in the infield.
Is it
I
Lou's
mean,
turn?
what's that?
Is it Lou's turn or mine?
It's mine. All right, AL. So back then it was just East and West, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So was he in the AL East or the AL West?
East.
Did he play for the Tigers?
No.
So thought it was going to be Lou Whitaker.
Oh, it's got to be like
Oh,
a
but he had
corner.
way more games in the
Got to
infield
be
than
a
the outfield.
corner guy. If he played outfield, right?
Yes.
Were the Brewers in the AL back then? Not a question to Jeff, but to Lou.
I can't remember the divisions. They would have been in the East, right? Who was in
I'm
the
pretty
West?
sure.
I can't remember who would be in the West.
Yeah,
Rangers, Angels,
because there's somebody.
Mariners,
Well, actually, there's a couple of
A's.
Brewers. Oh no, Brewer. Oh, no, he didn't play outfield.
But
But
we're
the
talking
Brewers
AL.
were an AL team back then, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think. Shit.
Because there's a
Yeah, the
Brewer
Brewers
that
were an
spent a
AL
lot
team
of
in
time
the
at
70s.
shortstop that moved to the outfield
You know,
later
you
in his
could ask
career.
the question because you have 11 of them left.
Well, it's Lou's turn.
Yeah, it's my turn. My problem is like I'm having trouble remembering which division these teams were in.
Yeah.
I think the Milwaukee came over to the National League. Hold on a second.
That was during realignment. I think maybe at the
Was
same
that
time
around like 88 or something?
I don't think it was that long ago.
93 was when they expanded, and then again in 97. I think there's something like that.
I don't think there was any like real alignment between the leagues. I think the Brewers went to the National League when the Astros went to the American League, right?
The Astros went to the American
Okay,
League
so here we go.
in 2013.
97. So they were in the AL East the whole time up until 97. And then 98 season, they started in NL Central. And they've been there ever since. So, yeah, I mean, there you go. There's your answer. But anyway, what's your question?
Uh, did he play for the Brewers?
No.
God, the 80s are so fucking long ago. Okay, so American League East. A little bit of infield, a lot of bit of outfield. Which outfield position did he have the most games at?
I will scan down, take a look.
Left or right? Probably not center.
Or center?
Right field.
Right field. AL East.
Number 11. You have 9 questions left.
Did he play for the New York Yankees?
No. Now you have 8 questions left.
Do you play for the Red Sox?
Yes.
Ooh, I think I know who this is.
Is it Bernie Carbo?
Are you saying Bernie Carbo?
That was my question.
That's nope. And that's now you're 6 left.
Was it Dwight Evans?
Oh, Dwight Evans. Carbo's too old, right? That's 70.
I was scared that he didn't play enough in the 80s, but
Bravo, Norm. Bravo. I just thought that'd be fun.
originally I was thinking Robin Yount, but
I thought about that too. Yeah, Carbo was too early, right? That's 70s, right?
He did play 143 games at first base,
first base, yeah.
but that was later in his career, probably. He actually played in the league 20 years. He finished up like, what was it? Fuck, I think I just closed it out. But
Well, he had a -5 arm in Stratomatic back in the day from
so
right field.
he ended his career in 91. His rookie year or his first year up in the bigs was in the 72. 73 was his first big year.
And he was on like the
He
Royals back
lasted
then, right?
he lasted in 91. He had a career batting average of 272, 385 home runs, 2,446 hits, 1,470 runs, 1,384 RBIs, not many stolen bases, but his career OBP was 370. Career
Yeah,
slugging 470, career OPS of 840, and he had a 67.2 career WAR. He
and
was a
for
3-time
most of his
All-Star.
career, he had Jim Rice playing left field too.
He was a
Like how
3-time
those guys didn't
All-Star.
win anything it blows my mind.
He was a 3-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, and 8-time Gold Glove. Now, with those accolades, I'm sorry, but man, I mean, if you're going to put Harold Baines into the Hall of Fame with his numbers, you got to look at Dwight Evans.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Now, let me
If you
cross-reference
put
to
Baines
Baines
in,
here.
you can look at a lot of guys. Maybe you should just say like, maybe Baines was a little bit of a mistake. You know?
Baines's WAR was about half of what his was.
But it's not just Baines. I mean, like go back years. Look at Red Shane Beast. You know, he's in the Hall. Look at his numbers. I'm sorry. You want to say he was a great second baseman or something like that? Okay, but he had to be really great to get in.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a whole different era too, though. You know, you can't compare batting stats from the 1940s and 50s to, you know, the 90s and the 2000s.
But it's not the batting stats. It's like it's the way that people looked at stats.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Well, there's that, but it's also, you know, like
you can look across eras now. You know, OPS plus. You know, OPS is not the greatest thing on earth, but I
yeah,
mean,
but I mean, you know, the mound was a different height, the ball was different,
right. But you're
you know.
comparing yourself to the league. So RC plus. If you don't want to look at OPS plus, because OPS is not the greatest thing on earth, but there's a lot of ways you can compare across eras. Yeah, I mean, when you get to extreme examples like Babe Ruth, it's going to be tough to understand Babe Ruth because he would hit more homers than entire teams.
Yeah.
You know, so if you just compare it to the average, then Ruth is probably going to be the greatest player of all time. You know, and maybe we understand that maybe that's not quite the case, right? Although he was He was good. He was very good.
Yeah, I mean, he was. I guess you could say he was the Otani of his day because he actually was a decent pitcher for a while.
New Balance.
But all right, I gotta get another drink.
Bernie Carbo. That guy played in the 75 series.
Let's bring up Bernie Carbo's stats.
But I mean, like, that was a bad guess. Dwight Evans, that was the guess.
Bernie Carbo. The 16th pick of the first round of the 65 draft.
65.
65 in 70, 1920, or it's the 20, it's year 22. He was on the same year as Pete Rose and all those guys. He had a good year that year, 21 home
63?
runs, 670.
Oh. Well, Rose come up 63.
Oh, I know that, but Rose was on this team.
Wait, Carbo was on the Cardinals?
Harpo was on the Reds
On the Reds. Yeah. Okay.
when he was 22 years old. He was on the Reds. Hit 21 home runs that year. Tony Perez hit 40. Bench hit 45. Lee May hit 34. Bobby Tolan hit 16. Pete Rose hit 15. This guy hit
Get traded.
pretty much a rookie, 21 home runs.
Get traded for like Rick Wise or something? No, I'm thinking of Cardinals. Gotta keep thinking of Cardinals. Reds. What did
Bernie
he get from the
Carbo.
Reds to the Red Sox?
So how he moved around. He was drafted by Cincinnati in the first round, 16th pick, traded by Cincinnati Reds to the St. Louis Cardinals for Joe Haig.
There we go. And then he
So
goes
what
to the
did
Red Sox and the Rick Wise deal?
Now he was traded by the Cardinals with Rick Wise to Red Sox for Reggie Smith and Ken Tatum.
There we go.
Ooh, Reggie Smith.
Then he was
There's a
traded by
name I
the
haven't
Red
heard.
Sox to the Milwaukee Brewers for Bobby Darwin and Tom Murphy. Traded by Milwaukee Brewers with George Scott
And
to
Tom
the
Murphy
Boston
is
Red
still
Sox for
catching
Cecil
in
Cooper.
MLB right now. Unless
So he
it's
went
different
back
Tom
to the
Murphy.
Red Sox. And then he was purchased by the Indians from the Red Sox. They just sold him. Granted free agency, signed with the Cardinals, released by the Cardinals, signed with the Pirates, released by the Pirates. This is in the 80s. And then signed as a free agent with Detroit in 81. And then it doesn't have anything after that. So
Wait, who is this?
Bernie Carbo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he kicked around. That's for sure.
Yeah, he did. His career WAR 18.5.
Woo!
He had a great on base percentage, 387 career on base percentage. That's not bad.
No, that's good.
And he had a career OPS of 814. That's not bad.
He just didn't get enough plate appearances, I guess, huh?
Something tells me there was some
Was he a lefty?
other issues or something. Yeah, he batted
Injury.
left.
He might
Throws
have
right.
just been in the division with a lot of lefty starters and been a platoon kind of guy. Like I've noticed, like I've had a bunch of lefties that do damage against righties, and so they get to play like Conforto and Winker and
Jock Peterson.
Kelnick. Guys that should be getting the lion's share of the platoon split, but they play in divisions where other teams have like a predominantly lefty starting staff, and they'll sit for like 3 and 4 games in a row because of that. And it's like,
Like the Mets. The Mets have like 2 or 3 lefties in the rotation, right? They've got Mania and Peterson and Quintana, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like that's like that team. Like if you got that lefty hitting left fielder or right fielder and you hit the Mets at the wrong time, he's not playing the whole
Yeah.
series. And it's not like we have like a 10-guy bench where you can
I try to remember that in Roto when I've got a lefty, and I've got a lefty hitter, and he's on the bench. You know, I try to remember like just remind myself it's because they're facing a lefty. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. It's like a manager like Torey Lovullo who's just trying to be the smartest platoon manager of all time. Since like Gil Hodges or something. I was thinking that Jock Peterson, he's probably playing for the perfect manager, right? Because Lovulo, I don't know how you say his name, loves that shit. You know, I'm gonna
Yeah.
rest. I'm gonna rest Aaron Judge because
No, but I mean he doesn't start Corbin Carroll against lefties most of the time.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to switch gears for just 1 second? Because I know we're getting toward the end here, but all 3 of us have fantasy football drafts tomorrow.
Yep.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
I thought it was going to get me out of going to dinner at my mom's house, and it turns out it gets me out of work early. Because it was like, they wanted to do dinner tonight, and it was like, I got to do the podcast thing. And so they're like, oh, okay, we're pushing it to tomorrow. Can you do tomorrow? And it's like, I've got my fantasy draft. And so
I did try to set it
I was
as
like,
late
if
as
you
I
let me out of
could.
work early, I'll come. And
Tried to set it as late as I could for you. So 6:45 your time.
Oh no, that'll work fine. I was thinking it was 6, and like I'm gonna get off work at 4. Got to run over to my mom's for dinner and run back here, which like travel time wise is like 10 minutes.
So what's your plan tomorrow, Jeff? Do you got any? I guess you don't want league members to see this before the draft comes.
No, I basically tomorrow I'm just gonna get up and get this guy over to Pet Supplies Plus and wash his ass in their sink over there, and clean him up because he's stinky. You stinky fucker. Anyway, then after that, come home, deal with some yard work, and then get ready and get my ass down to the bar probably around 4 or 5 o'clock, 6, somewhere around there, and set up shop and get ready for it.
As far as rookies, there's really not too many rookie running backs this year to look at.
Trey Benson's interesting, but I don't know if he's going to get a whole lot of,
Who is?
Isn't he with the Arizona Cardinals? Trey Benson.
Yeah.
So if John Connor goes down, this kid might get some carries. But he was like one of the bigger running backs came out. And then there's another one. There's another one in North Carolina. Hold on.
Jonathan Brooks.
Jonathan Brooks, yeah. He's another one that's interesting.
He might be hurt. Not for the year, but right now.
Hold on a second, I'll look it up.
But there's not too many running backs. But I mean, obviously there's a handful of quarterbacks, receivers, there's the one tight end.
Yeah, okay. So
and the tight end is not going to necessarily be a stud this year.
He's not on the non-football injury reserve.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Knee ACL. So I think he's coming off an ACL. All right, so expectations are high for Brooks as a first running back selected in 2024 draft, and he should eventually establish himself as Carolina's starter. The more difficult question is whether Brooks can earn the distinction as a rookie returning from a November 11th ACL tear and joining an offense with an incumbent starter running back. So basically,
he's not going to be back
he hurt
for a
himself
while.
last year, like late in the season for college, and he's still got he was still the first running back selected in the 2024 draft, even though they
When was he
knew.
selected?
Huh? Good question.
Early.
Second round, 14th pick.
Yeah. So he,
Carolina's not going to run the ball in the second half, so there's that,
I
right?
think that might have been the pick that they gave for like what was the fucking player? Oh no, wrong guy.
but still, if he had an ACL in November, that's like a generally
Year.
12-month-ish type thing. So he's at best back mid-season. And
Could
then
be
he's got
around
to like,
Halloween.
yeah, and then he's got to overcome the incumbent, assuming he's still healthy. And
Well,
then
he's
B,
got
he's
Miles
got to like,
Sanders and Chuba Hubbard.
Sanders, he's
as
got
Tomlin likes to say, get on the moving train when
like
he's probably not
Chuba,
able to practice and shit.
a guy named Chuba or something. I can't remember.
Chuba Duba Doo.
But Carolina, I mean, if he was healthy and started, then that would be worth something. But Carolina's not going to lead the league in rushing attempts either, right?
Most likely not.
They're going to, they're going to be behind, passing a lot, getting intercepted, fumbling.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how their quarterback turns out.
Hmm?
Like Carolina picked their quarterback #1 last year,
Yeah.
and he did way worse than the guy that got picked right after him. But he was also on a much shittier team.
Can you say Ryan Leaf?
Well, he might be good. Who knows? Like, I don't think he had a shot last year in Carolina. Like, they sucked across the board. There was nothing good about them. And you throw a rookie to the wolves like that, and it doesn't always work out. Whereas Stroud had, like, that was a playoff team. Like, were they missing a quarterback? Yes, but they had a good team that was missing a quarterback, and therefore they weren't such a good team 2 years ago. But, adding the rookie quarterback to the mix worked in that situation.
Well, it made everything look a lot better too. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think people thought much of Houston a year ago.
No, nobody did because they didn't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
But once they got one that was competent, like they had the team around him to do good, unlike, many of the top quarterback picks, scraping the bottom of the barrel of like Kenny Pickett, like, he might have been a decent quarterback if he got to sit for a year or two and learn, but no, he got thrown to the wolves in like
Bears.
week 4, yeah, there's like just so many first round quarterback failures. That's just because mostly the shitty situation they're in. Like fucking Collins, like nobody thought much of him until like years into his career when he finally got in a good situation. And
Nico Collins?
No, what's his name? Kerry
Collins.
He's with Atlanta this year.
Just
signed a giant ass contract, but it took him forever to not be like to overcome the bust label. And then he was just a mediocre dude for a number of years, and then he got on a good team and he did good.
You talking about Kirk? Are you talking about Kirk Cousins?
That's who I'm talking about. Kerry Collins.
Jesus,
was
Kerry
Penn
Collins.
State.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he was the Penn State dude. But I always thought those were like the same dude. Mediocre quarterbacks, and then Cousins all of a sudden elevated his game, but it wasn't until years later.
So we don't know when we're going to pick tomorrow until a half hour before. But what are you most comfortable doing in the first round? Like, do you always definitely want to get a running back, or you don't have to tell me because
it totally
change what I do. But
To be honest, I always just sort of go with the best available player,
Yeah.
to be honest. Like, because I don't follow football that closely. And I seem to do much better at just like the drafting thing than the auctioning thing because it's less to think about. It's just like,
Yeah.
you know,
It's frustrating to me that like I care so much more about baseball than I do about fantasy football, but I think I do better. And usually I do better at fantasy football. And up
yeah,
until this year, I didn't even put any effort into football. Like I went on this website I've gone on for 10 years. I got my list and I'm all done like in a half hour. And then that's why my picks were like within 5 seconds. There was no agonizing. The only thing I watched over was bye weeks. But this year,
Yeah.
oh, I
this
screwed
year,
myself with that last year.
this year I've gotten into it. I'm into it now, like I haven't been since the '90s probably. And and I'm going to use my own numbers, and I think that there's a big chance that I will do really bad, but at least they're going to be my numbers, and I'm going to know why I chose this guy. So we'll see what happens. But it is funny, like that. If you don't know much, it doesn't really matter, and all it does is just like there's no agony. You just like you don't know enough to have any sort of indecision, so you just pick next guy on the list. That's what I did up until this year. This year I might ruin it for me because I got into like making my own projections and stuff, and so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, last year I got screwed when like I was like, is it time to take Mahomes? Nobody's been making moves towards quarterbacks, so no, I'm gonna take this guy. And I don't remember who that was, but then it was like that time where like I had an early pick in this round and a late pick in the next
Yeah.
round, and like all the fucking quarterbacks went in between those picks, and I was like panicked, and I picked Justin Fields because of his runningness and running touchdowns. And a few rounds later, I picked Dex Prescott, and my draft grade was like super high because I got such a steal on him, and was like, yeah, whatever. And then it turned out like I started him almost the entire season.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Jeff, I asked Norm what are you most comfortable doing in the first round? Are you the kind of guy that like definitely has to get a running back, or do you wing it? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, I'm picking fifth, so I have to take the best person that's on the board at that moment. Who I think are going to get the most points out of. I
McCaffrey's going
know,
to be
but
gone.
yeah, but I mean, I could end up with Brees Hall. I could end up with B.J. Robinson. I could end up with like Tyreek Hill, or I could end up with C.D. Lamb. I
Or
mean,
Kelsey.
Well, you'll definitely get
Kelsey,
one of those
that's too
guys.
early for Kelsey. Kelsey is probably going to be about a third round pick this year. The
Why?
dude's dropping off.
Yeah, he's 31 at
The
least.
reason why
35?
Mahomes
How old
didn't
is
do
he now?
that well last year.
How old is Kelsey now? He's old, right?
It's like 34, 35.
I think he's
No,
35.
Hold
he can't
on.
be that old.
Because I
Yeah.
think when I looked at it, I was like, oh,
31,
geez, I
maybe.
don't know he's that old.
Like his brother might have been 34.
He was born in 89.
Yeah.
October 5th, 1989. So when we start this season,
Travis?
yeah,
Really?
he'll be 35 years old in October.
Jesus. I had no idea. How old was Jason?
Jason Kelsey?
He had a long
He's
career,
two
but
years older.
so
37,
he
right?
He's 2 years older, yeah. So he retired when he got, was it Jesus Christ, he was born in 87, the year I graduated high school.
yeah, me too.
God fucking
You think Swift knows that he's 35? And that's kind of old.
So he's 37 now, and he's been out of the game for what? This was his last year. Last year?
Last
Did
year was he retired.
Okay.
So, but
So he played all of last year. He's not playing this year.
unless somebody like talks him off his couch mid-season,
Nah, probably not.
I doubt that's going to happen. He seems like I think he wanted to retire the year before, but they had that like 2 years ago they actually got close to going to the Super Bowl, I think. And
You watch
San Fran
if
knocked him
Terry
off, maybe?
Bradshaw if Terry Bradshaw kicks the bucket, Jason Kelsey's probably going to take his place on NFL Today or some shit.
But yeah, no, I thought like Kelsey came back. Last year was the year that the Eagles were doing good until like mid-season, and then they just like fell apart and lost all the games.
They did fall apart.
That was last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the year like Kelsey was going to retire the prior year because they were supposed to win the Super Bowl that year and they didn't. And he came back
Nope.
for one more year to give it like one last thing, and they were rolling, and then they just like completely fell apart. And now he's done, and yeah, I doubt he's gonna come back again.
This won't affect first round, but do either of you guys have an opinion on rookie quarterbacks? Like which one you think will be the best? I guess Jeff might say Caleb, but
Well, I mean, last year I actually picked up CJ Stroud late, and I got CJ Stroud and I had Richardson too. But I had Richardson, he got hurt, so I picked up Stroud, who was out there,
Wow.
and all of a sudden he turned into a pretty good
Oh,
quarterback.
but he was a rookie Ohio State
Nice.
quarterback, so everybody assumes he's going to suck.
Where did you finish last year?
Because I had the first pick, so I had to take McCaffrey, and it was all the way around 23 picks later that I got to pick again. So I had to pick wide receiver and stuff. It was a rough year, but I had to take some guys that other people were passing on because they were hurt for like the first 3 weeks or they were out for a couple. So I had to take like Kamara and Cup, and basically I was treading water, and then I got a late season push when all these guys started playing together. But yeah, I didn't get paid anything. I didn't win anything. I could have won. Well, yeah, I think I could have won like $150 or $100.
I mean, not
Anyway.
to rub it in, but if you have McCaffrey and Stroud, most people would think that like that was your year,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, it was just getting bad kicking days, just having like bad days all together. I had Laporta too. So I picked
Oh
Laporta
my
up pretty
God,
good.
are you kidding me?
Yeah.
How can you not win if you
They're
have
the ones
Stroud,
keeping me
Laporta, and
afloat.
McCaffrey? It's impossible.
Yeah, I almost won our league last year, and my team was way, worse than that.
Yeah.
Although it sounds like he's got more teams to deal with, but
I think he's got 12.
Who, me?
Their league is deeper.
Oh, I've
than
got
ours.
there's 12 teams in our league, yeah.
We only have
so it's
13,
the same as ours.
We only have 13 players in a team.
So like I said, I'm picking fifth. There's like one of 5 guys I can get. And it's going to be between McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall, and Bijan Robinson. Which whenever those 5 fall to me is probably what I'm going to be taking.
I predict you'll be taking one of those 2 receivers. I think all 3 of those running backs will be gone.
You know what? I kind of hope so, because I need 3 receivers in my league, and we have a flex.
Oh, wow.
So it's a lot. Yeah.
That
So
changes
sometimes receivers especially if you get a good one, they kind of are more valuable, where now you got a lot of running backs that are getting runs by committees. So you got to know who they're going to be giving the ball off to down in the, inside the 10. And, those guys that can catch out of the backfield for those little swing passes. So
Norm, his league's a lot deeper than ours.
Yeah,
They're
sounds
taking
like it.
one receiver and one running back more than us. They're taking two
Yeah.
non-quarterbacks
Well,
more.
here's a question I have for you.
But the other
About
thing
this
too is
football
we have
business.
7 bench spots.
Yeah, we have what, like 5 bench?
Five, I think five. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a big bench.
We have the
But-
smallest rosters that I could justify having.
But so we're getting a point for a receiving first down.
Yes.
Why are we not getting a point for a rushing first down?
Well, most of the reason for doing it was to bring up the value of the tight ends, and if we had rushing first down,
it should be a third down
quarterbacks
conversion to first down,
the whole
not
thing
just
would've-
any first down. You know, like a
I'll be
first
right
and,
back.
right.
a first and
I
10,
looked at that.
11-yard reception is a lot different than a third and 14, 15-yard reception.
Right. So like a first down is so much better than the receptions because we had half a point for receptions a few years ago, and they happen about the same frequency. There's about the same amount of receiving first downs as there are receptions. Half of the receptions are receiving first downs. So that's what I'm trying to say. So like if you have half a point for receptions, it's about the same as having a point for receiving first downs.
Yeah, but you don't get a point for a carry.
The reasons for not doing all first downs or that if you had passing first downs or even just rushing first downs, you'd bring up the value of the quarterbacks when it's like 4th and 1 inch.
No, the quarterback wouldn't get anything unless he did the rushing first down.
Right.
Like if he does a quarterback
The
sneak
whole
on 4th
point
and
of a
1,
receiving
he would
first
get a
down,
point for the rushing
why it's
first down.
generally more valuable than a rushing first down is that if it's a receiving first down, you know that it wasn't 4th and inches or 3rd and inches. It was 3rd and 6.
That's not true.
Yeah, no, it's definitely true.
Dude, I've watched the Matt Canada offense for the last 3 years.
If it's 3rd and
Like-
1 or 2, you're going to rush a lot. You're not going to see very many rushing attempts on a 3rd and 6.
No, but you'll see plenty of like quick slants and set up a run, do play action kind of third down thing, right? You don't gain a lot of yards, but you get that first down. Like that tight end stays in and blocks, and then he leaks out into the flat when the receivers have run off the coverage, and he gets the yards for the first
Most
down.
of it was a gamesmanship thing. It was a way to bring up the value of tight ends and receivers as compared to quarterbacks. But there's also the fact that there's no way that you're going to be able to dissect a rushing first down and have it be equal to a receiving first down. There's just no way because you're going to find situations where if they definitely rushed it on a 3rd down attempt or a 4th down attempt, it was inches or a yard, 2 yards tops. If it's more than that, they're going to pass. So that right there shows you that it was a more valuable achievement because it wasn't 1 or 2 yards. It was 5 or 6 or 10 or 12.
Yeah, but there's by the same token, there's the you're up 47-10 and you're playing prevent defense and you're letting receivers get 11 yards on first down so long as you tackle them in bounds and run some time off the clock. So therefore, that's really not a valuable first down.
Well, then they would certainly let you rush and waste time off the clock if that's what your argument is. I mean, there's really no way you're going to be able to slice and dice this. That's going
to like when you're playing offense against a prevent defense, you're going to get lots of first downs and lots of receptions because you're playing from behind, you're passing,
right?
And the defense is letting you gain yards so that they can stop you from scoring the touchdown at the end.
Like I said, this was mostly a ploy to bring up the value of tight ends, at least to the point where kickers and defenses are. But if you're asking why not have all first downs count as something, it's because that would defeat the whole purpose. Because quarterbacks like Hurts, instead of being a 350 point quarterback, he'd be a 500 and something point quarterback. And it just would, I wouldn't even bring that in. I mean, that would get me farther away from where I wanted the point system to be. But that being said, a receiving first down is definitely worth more in real terms, not fantasy, than a rushing first down because of the situation that you're in. Just the fact that you know that they went for it on a third or fourth down and went to a pass, that means it's from more yards out. Anyways, I think we can all agree that a first down is much more valuable than a reception. Just a general reception, half of those, as compared to receiving first downs, you'd rather go receiving first downs, even though they have about the same amount of frequency. The receiving first down is more of an achievement than just a pure reception, because a reception could be anything, right? You could have a screen pass like we were talking about and lose 2 yards, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, I really think, even though I understand criticism of it, I really think that this is going to be the best system that we've experienced in the league.
Well, it will definitely revalue the tight end.
Yeah. You know,
I don't know if it'll do so much for the kicker or the special teams, but
yeah. Well, I'm not trying to do stuff for the kicker. It's just I wanted to get the tight ends up there. At least I understand the kickers aren't going to be they're not going to be as valuable as the quarterback, but at least I wanted them to be up where the kicker is, for God's sake.
So, what if your tight ends for more, you gave them more points per yardage?
I've seen leagues that do that. I don't know that bothers me. I don't like that, but I understand it. I understand that that's something that can be done. Yeah, I've seen that.
Or if you're not doing PPR for everybody, you do PPR for tight ends.
Yeah, I don't know if we do it on Yahoo. I don't think Yahoo breaks it down by position.
It's just by receiving. Yeah.
Yeah. But we're doing receiving.
I mean,
we're doing receiving first downs, and I'm really excited about it. I don't know if this is the first year that Yahoo had it, or this is just the first year I noticed that it was an option.
And it's a half a point?
It's a point for a receiving first down.
Oh, full point.
Which basically works out to about half a point per reception. Because there are 51% of receptions are for first downs. And remember, I don't know, 3 years ago, whatever it was, we had that half a point.
51% of completions are first downs?
Yeah.
Holy shit. The Steelers are even worse than I thought they were.
But if you remember,
well, they haven't really had very good wide receivers. I mean, ever since the Antonio Brown debacle, I mean,
Pickens is good.
Didn't really.
Johnson was okay, but like he'd get open, but you know the line sucked, so they threw him the pass like 3 yards downfield when he needed to gain 7 yards for the first down in his point in his fantasy league. And he started running backwards instead, like, oh, Pickens is a fucking beast.
Hold on one second. I gotta plug in here.
On the half point per reception thing, a couple of 3 years ago, we had a half a point per reception to do the same thing that I'm trying to do this year with the receiving first downs.
Yeah.
But Yahoo asked if I would drop remainders, and I said yes. But they didn't drop the remainders for the half a point per reception. So we had those game scores that were like, 73.5 to 64. I hated that. I wanted whole numbers. This is one thing that Jeff and I agree on, that I don't want remainder points. I want it to be you got 74 or you got 73. I mean, you didn't get to 74, so you got 73.
Yeah. Oh, it's that thing when your quarterback throws for 189 or 199 yards, and if he'd only had one more yard, he'd get another point.
It's called the sore loser scoring.
Yeah. And it's also like that day when your guy gets exactly 100 yards rushing that you celebrate, because if he'd only had 1 yard less, you'd have one whole entire point less.
Well, some leagues.
Then the other thing too is like, it makes less ties. Well, you know what? Ties don't really happen that much in fucking fantasy football to begin with.
No.
And when they do, they kind of fucking they kind of throw another element into like how you're trying to make the playoffs and all this other shit. So it's kind of fucking
Exactly.
cool.
I
Yeah.
like the tie. I really think the tie is, if it happened more, I'd be fine with it because it makes the standings more interesting. I mean, even in the beer league, when we have some teams that end up with 155 games as opposed to 156, I find that interesting. I find it interesting that Satch led by 3 last week, and now they lead by 3.5. Even though they played 6, everybody played 6. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't mind the tie thing. It doesn't bother me. It's like, in fact, I almost wish that the games were more lower scoring and we had more ties. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that part that that falls on deaf ears with me. Like, well, you shouldn't do that because then you'd have more ties. No, ties I think are good. It's more
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
really throws in a monkey wrench on who can make the playoffs, who cannot, and what the,
Yeah.
it just makes it very interesting towards the end there, depending on, who was involved in the tie. I mean, if they're fighting for a playoff spot, I mean, it's I like it.
Yeah, I like the tie.
Yeah, I would be all
Not
for
like
getting
too
rid
many
of
of them, but
overtime during the regular season.
What is that?
So I'm all for getting rid of overtime during the regular season and just like, only using it in the postseason because you have, it's the playoffs. You
Right,
have to have a
right.
winner or loser.
I don't
But during the regular
disagree. I don't
season,
disagree at all with that.
like it'd be awesome to see a team that had like 3 or 4 ties in a single season. Like we see 3 or 4
so
ties in a single season in a busy tie season.
think
Usually
about
it's the
this
1 or 2.
too. Think about this as a plan for like for football. You know how like hockey has like a shootout? Well, maybe you have a kickoff between fucking kickers. Like basically what you do is you
Well,
basically have a kick from the 30, and if one of the kickers doesn't make it, the game's over. And if they both make it, then they go back to the 40. And if they both make it, they go back to the 50. And then from there, the 55. And they're from 60,
and
until
66 like the fucking Cowboys dude
one
the
of
other
them
day.
fucking misses. And it's kind of like a shootout at the end of the game instead of having like an extra, like,
Well, then Lou would have to reevaluate tight ends like by a million
and
because he
Or
wanted
kickers.
to
kickers.
bring them up to the level of kickers. And if
I
kickers
think
decided games like that, the kickers will be like the first round dudes.
I think Jeff, I think you should bring this up at the kickers union meeting in the off season because they would love you. You're going to bring up the salary of the kickers by a few $1,000,000 right there.
Yeah. Well,
Hey,
you know
buddy.
what? That would be actually very exciting. I just think it would, and it would put kickers on another level.
Oh
It's
God,
like it
yeah.
would make them some rock stars. You know what I mean?
I
It'd
like
also make, like, you're down 14-7 and you make your last second touchdown, you might be more likely to go for 2,
Yeah.
depending on your kicker.
I
Yeah.
like Norm's idea
If you're the
where
Ravens, you go toe to toe, kicker to kicker.
where
But
you
you're
get rid
every
of
other team in the league, you might want to go for 2.
overtime during the regular season. I mean, like hockey, I wouldn't mind that either. Go back the way it was with the ties. At least
Well, they do the 4-on-4, which is kind of fun. That's a real fun. It's like open ice, good shit, man. I mean, it's really exciting. So I really love the way they do it now.
I don't like that they give out more points in a game that ends in a tie in regulation. Like, if you're going to do that, if you're going to go to overtime, I think they should give 3 points for a regulation winner and nothing for obviously for the loser. And then if you have to go to overtime, give 2 to the overtime winner and 1 to the overtime loser. Like make the points consistent. It shouldn't be like you should get more points. There shouldn't be more points given out in a game just because it went to overtime. I know that the winning team doesn't get any more points, but you're giving the losing team a point as opposed to nothing. If you
Yeah,
gave
that's true.
if you gave it 2-1 as opposed to 3-zip, then even the winning team would be like, shit, I don't want to win in overtime. I want to win in regulation. I don't know. It's just
But them going by points though, that it's a point system. I mean, it's a moot point.
well, what's moot
No, I
about
mean,
it?
well, it's just, I don't mind somebody getting a point. If you tie at the end of the game, yeah, and the guy who actually, if they win, they get the 2 points as opposed to the 1 point if you still get that point if you tie.
But think about
I don't mind that.
the winner
It's
and
just
loser combined
but
combined for 3 points in an overtime game as opposed to just 2 points in a regulation game. Like, why is
but
that?
you
That's
want to you want to I mean those teams that are getting into those scraps where they're going into the extra overtime and stuff, they're playing hard. You want those teams hanging around. Those are the
you can't
competitive
argue that, but
teams.
I don't know why wouldn't they hang around if it was like I'm saying.
Well, I mean, those are the teams you want pushing for the playoffs. So you want them to get points. The ones that are like, I mean, they're hanging tough at the end of every game, and getting a lot of like, overtime games. Those 1 points add up.
Well, the losing team would still get the point. The overtime losing team would still get a point. It's just that the winning overtime team would only get
Well,
two.
yeah,
But
because
if they had won in regulation, they'd get three.
they finished tied at regulation, so that therefore they are awarded 1 point each. You get one extra if you win.
You know, this way you'd have 3 points awarded in every NHL game, no matter if it went to overtime or not. It's just a matter of how you're going to divvy it up. Are you going to divvy it up 3-zip or 2-1?
Yeah. You're probably the first person who's ever brought that up.
I bet
I
you
swear
not.
to God, I've never heard anybody talk about that,
I bet you
but
not. I bet you somebody has.
I never even thought about it. But I think just because it is a point system, that it doesn't matter. It's, those points are funny money at this point, as long as everybody's getting the same share.
As a complete non-hockey fan, if you're using like a point system like that to determine your standings, Lou's proposal makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, it does.
Same points divided differently depending on how the game was played.
That's what I think, but I think it's a feel good thing, right? It's like everybody wants to go home with a point. Everybody gets a trophy. So, you get
Well,
the
it's
point.
it's it's basically it keeps competition going instead of instead of people letting it letting the game get out of hand. They can get away with 1 point as opposed to nothing if they're playing a team that's way better than them. You know, that's kind of a win.
I mean, if you
Yeah,
lose a
fighting to a
game,
standstill is a win.
I
Yeah.
understand if you lose a game in overtime as opposed to regulation, there was something there. You were tied at regulation, so you get the point, even if you lose in overtime. But the winning team, they shouldn't get as many points for winning in overtime when they were they were tied after 60 minutes.
Yeah. Who gets credit for the goal in the shootout? Is it the last guy who actually like sinks the ship?
That doesn't count, does it? To
Yeah, I
goal
think so.
totals?
I think so.
Oh, jeez, that sucks if that's true. I don't even know
I
that.
think it's the last guy like who seals the deal. And it doesn't matter if the three guys before him fucking score a goal or not.
Yeah, if that's true, that's wrong.
It's just that I don't know how that goes either. So I don't know. It's been a little while since I paid attention because I'm a Blackhawks fan. And hopefully this year they'll be a little bit better and watchable.
Well, Normie, we're we're running kind of late,
All right.
especially for me.
I'm off the week, so I don't shit. Nothing's late for me.
This is going to be your last podcast of 2024, unless we do something in the fall, in the real fall.
Could do a
Unless we
football
Brady
one.
bunch it and have like 9 people on at the same time.
Yeah,
Actually, like from the football standpoint of doing something like that, it would be interesting because don't think I've met like over half of that league ever.
The Lemmings League, or the league
No,
that
the
we're in?
Tons of Tail.
Oh, Tons of Tail, yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, I've been in the football league with these people for years, but I don't think I've met. Like I know there's a whole bunch of them I've never met, like all of the Steeler fans.
Well,
for
definitely,
instance.
there's half the league you haven't met because 4 of them are Connecticut people and 2 of them are Chicago people that aren't in the beer league or anything like that. They're a married couple. They play hockey actually. They're she plays goalie and he's the defenseman. But yeah, so
How about,
only half the league is like guys you know.
Yeah,
how about this Johnny Gaudreau shit, man? What a tragedy.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's like, how bad does it have to get, man? That was the worst. You know, he's got his sister's wedding the next day. Him and his brother were supposed to be standing up in it, and they get plowed over
Oh,
by
for
a.
God's sake.
wait, who's this?
He was a
Brothers got
he was
killed by
a
a drunk
hockey player
driver.
for the Columbus Blue
They're
Jackets.
bike
He
riding.
used to be on the Flames. He was really good. His brother was supposedly pretty good too, but he was in the minors. But
They were riding bikes and like not motorbikes, just bicycles, right? I mean, it
yeah,
was bicycles.
some car gave him the right of way, and they started to go, and then some drunk behind him decided to plow through on the left side because he was going to wait on this guy, and didn't see the bikers at all. So he just like mowed them both down, and he actually turned himself in and like fessed up to everything. So
Well,
it's
Was
yeah,
it
gotta give that
was
to
it
that's
in the
him.
U.S.?
surprising.
Did it
No
happen?
shit, right?
Did it happen in the U.S.?
New Jersey.
New Jersey, jeez.
Yeah, I heard a story about something like it was a similar situation where it was like I think it was a mom walking her baby in her baby carriage and she got taken out by an Amazon truck.
Boy,
And the baby was miraculously okay, but the mom not so much.
She died.
I think she died.
I didn't hear
Either
about
that
that.
or she's in like really bad, like critical condition type thing. But
I tell you, our fantasy leagues being on Yahoo for the most part, you really pay a price because I see these stories that I would never have seen otherwise, and I don't want to see them. I mean, I know it's not good to bury your head in the sand, but some of this stuff, I don't want to know this stuff. I mean, I'm having a tough enough time as it is.
oh, use Brave browser, Lou. You don't see any of that shit.
Awful stories.
Matt McGuire just changed the team name for his team to the Morgan Park Ham Fighters.
To the what? Oregon?
Morgan Park
Morgan.
Ham Fighters. I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, good luck in your draft tomorrow, Jeff. And I guess Norm, I'll be chatting with you. Won't be
Yeah,
video chat,
but I think that would be maybe something for like, say next year. Plan
do
to
a
do
little
like a video draft.
a video draft.
Right.
Yeah, I
Or
don't
Still
just
be
be on
just a
like just
draft,
be
but
on video, and then you can draft as you go, and everybody can see what's going on. So that'll create banter.
yeah. I mean, it's hard to like type shit in to the like
right.
little chat column and have it show up where you want it to like,
Plus, things are moving so fast in that
yeah.
draft. There's like some people are auto drafting, and like so I'm chatting in the beginning, and then like that's it. I don't have time for. I'm keeping track of the bye weeks and stuff. I can't say a word. It's like
Well,
having.
because we've had a couple of people that have auto drafted, we've cut the limited time down to 1 minute that you get to pick your guy instead of a minute and a half.
We have it up to 2 minutes, but it's still
Really?
That's only in the early rounds, though, right?
no. It's 2 minutes the whole time. But like our drafts take place, they end in like 55 minutes. minutes. I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
50
like half the people
Well, yeah,
auto
because you guys
draft,
got them all there. When you don't have somebody there, then you fucking have to, because it takes forever. You get to that one spot and all of a sudden, boom, standstill. And if you get two of them in a row, holy shit. Anywho,
it's
football
those.
is amongst us. I'm feeling pretty good about the Bears.
Yeah, it's like football starts on Thursday, right?
Yeah, it's the Chiefs and
Ravens.
Ravens.
And I'm playing instead of sitting home watching that game. I would much rather sit on my ass and watch that football game than to play that night. God damn it. It's at a winery. I mean, it's not going to be some rockin' show. It's like semi-acoustic, even. Ah,
Yeah, I
not
might have
up
to
to
find
me.
somebody to watch somewhere to watch the game too.
Nah,
Got a couple of options I haven't been to before, but
I just want to watch my football. God damn it.
and the Ravens and Chiefs is not my football, but I still want to watch it.
That's a good matchup.
You know
Though.
what? When football season starts, man, it's like you can give a fuck about Sunday baseball. Literally, you're not even paying attention. It's like, oh shit, looking at the end of the day, it's like you don't check into it until like 9, 10 o'clock at night when you know all the games are over.
Yeah,
And
that's
you're
why
just like, oh fuck.
do your Sunday baseball on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Make your best guess. Hope it
which,
works out.
which kind of lends itself to your point that you made a few weeks ago, Jeff, that like, why isn't MLB loading up on, like, there shouldn't be days off in late June and early July leading up to the All-Star break. Those should be 7-game weeks for every team, right? I mean,
Exactly.
you've got the whole, sports world to yourself unless you're going to count WNBA. And,
They would have to expand
They're
rosters.
creating a stress on manpower that doesn't really need to be there.
Now, if they expanded the rosters by like 3 or 4 dudes, they could do 7 games a week.
no, they should do it even without that. I mean, like, you're just talking from
No,
the
they just
time
need
that
to spread the games out a little bit better. I mean, what's happening right now, and then Lou is the one that came up with these figures, and it's fucking amazing to me. And it really showed something here. It's like all of a sudden in like April and May are the most games played, and then it drops substantially in June, and then even more in July, and then bumps back up to August, but not near. I don't think it's quite as much as what May was.
I can't
And
remember,
then
but I mean,
September is like another like August. So it's like a majority of the games were just like crunched right in the beginning of the season. Everybody's wondering why this guy's going down with an arm injury. Why is this guy getting hurt? Why is that guy getting hurt? Well, fuck. I mean, you you didn't have that much time for like spring training to get back into playing shape and shit, and all of a sudden you throw the most games you possibly can at them right out of spring training.
but at
And
least that last
think
week
about
of
this too:
September.
is how many of those games are, in cold weather places where
Yeah,
pitchers are asked
they're
to like
going from like
throw 6 innings right out of the
yeah, they're
gate.
going from Arizona to and from Florida to somewhere that's like, okay, I'm playing in Minnesota.
Yeah, and also like, oh, it's only raining so much right now. Like we can get the game in,
Right.
so we don't have to reschedule it later and blah blah blah
Right.
and make
But that
costs
week,
Schedule them
go up.
fire time. Think about all the logistics that go into all the bullshit of having to redo a game someday or having a doubleheader with two different sets of tickets and all this other shit.
but that week leading up to the All-Star game, All-Star break, the first couple of weeks of July, or, the last week or two of June, they should be loaded up. That should be 7-game weeks for everybody. They could do it. They could schedule like
Yeah,
that. I know,
I think like you would have to either use the options or expand the roster to do
I don't
that.
think so. I mean, like,
Well, especially at the beginning of the season.
7-game weeks are routine during regular season, right? Every 3 weeks you have a 7-game week on average. But I think that time when the playoffs are done for the NBA and NHL, and then leading up to, I mean, certainly the week before the All-Star break, don't give them a day off. They don't need it. They're going to have 4 days off, and that
Blue.
next week.
Yeah, no,
So
but Lou,
you have to look at it like this. I mean, basically, what that little week right there with the they have like the day before with a skills competition, all that shit, the old timers game, maybe a softball game, futures game, blah blah blah. It's all that stuff put together is basically Major League Baseball's holiday. That's
yeah,
their
it's like their
Christmas.
bye week,
Yeah. So you
and
kind of
everybody
just
gets it
gotta
at the
let
same
it
time,
happen because
unlike
it's
in
just,
football.
it's just a good thing. And plus, the players need it too. They need like 3 days to reset. Maybe some of these guys are in a funk,
I'm not
Maybe there's
talking
a
about
guy
that
who's
though.
just,
Am I understanding? I mean, I'm just talking about like the Monday and the Thursday
I'm just
before
saying
the
a lot of,
All-Star game. Everybody should be playing because they're gonna all be off for 4 days in a few days after that. I mean, why not? They
oh
do
yeah,
seven
yeah,
game
yeah.
weeks throughout
Okay.
the season.
I
Just
get what you're saying now.
yeah, just
I thought you were
everyone.
talking about shortening the gap of like how long
No,
the
no, no, no. I know.
this
I
thing's a
was going
skill,
off
Jeff.
what you were saying. I mean, like you've got no competition from NFL, NBA, NHL. That should be your time to shine.
Right. Exactly.
So I mean, schedule those days off early in the season when the weather's terrible, and if you have to make them up, maybe lighten up in late in the season. But that part from late June through early July, man, that should be heavy. That should be
Yeah.
heavy schedule.
I did see that there were several, inclement weather games rescheduled as double headers, where it was just you needed one ticket to get in to the double header, like back in the old days.
Yeah.
What about Danny Jansen playing for both teams in the same game?
That's awesome, I guess.
I remember Joel
I mean, it shocks
Such
me
Youngblood.
a
that it's
weird
taken
thing.
this long for it to happen, to be
Joel
honest.
Youngblood got traded from the Mets to was it the Cubs?
He played with two different teams of a doubleheader, I think.
Yeah.
No, he played two different teams the same day.
Yeah.
I think the Mets had a day game and his new team had a night game. He showed up. I don't know if he played, but this was even somewhat more impressive because it was actually two official games on the same day for two
I
different
agree
teams.
with you on that. Like the chance of getting traded during a doubleheader is way less than the chance of like a early season game getting rained out, which we've been talking about already, and then getting traded later in the season, and that makeup game happens to be on your schedule.
You just brought
Play
up
for the
Joel
other team.
Youngblood. I gotta look him up and just see what his stats.
You should compare him to Harold Baines.
He was a decent player. I like Joel.
I don't think he was as good as Baines, but he was good for his time.
Mets and Reds. That's what I
Look.
remember. Anyway.
All right. Joel Youngblood. He had career WAR of 10.5.
Not bad. It's
You know,
almost Sean
not
Dunston.
quite. He had about 3,600 at bats, not quite 1,000 hits, 80 home runs, 265 batting average, 453 runs, 422 RBIs, 60 stolen bases, OBP of 329, slugging 392, OPS of 721. Joel Youngblood sucked. He was on a World Series team and he was a
OPS is
one-time All-Star.
721 in that era does not suck.
How many homers did he hit?
Even OPS 721 now does not
80
suck.
in his career. 76 or 89. He had 16 home runs in 79. That was the most he.
Oh.
What's his OPS plus?
No, what was his total career home runs?
It's got to be above 100.
His OPS plus is 103.
103. He does not suck, Jeff. He was above average.
Moderately above average.
You know, he was
All right,
basically
well.
average, but he was above average.
I don't know. He was on like Mets teams when I was a kid that I liked, like back in the Lenny Randall
Oh, I
and
remember him.
Crane Pool days.
Lenny
and stuff.
Randall. Remember Lenny Randall hit 304 in 77? And I was like, oh yeah, this guy's a stud. And then he hit 233.
Him like trying to blow the ball foul was like one of my favorite childhood baseball memories. Like I watched that live.
Back when the Mets had like Willie Montañez and then Richie Hebner.
Oh God,
These guys that
yeah.
didn't want to be on the Mets.
Willie Montañez. Oh my God.
All right, well, we're gonna break the record for longest 2024 podcast here. So,
Oh, no kidding, man. It's almost 3 hours.
but
Jesus.
it's always great talking to you, Norm. I'm so glad that you can do it again. And,
Yeah. I've got a much easier way of doing it now. So
who knows? Maybe we'll do some Tuesday in the fall podcast and talk about our fantasy football teams.
sounds good.
So, all right,
You guys
Jeff.
are cute.
Well, good luck
Hey,
tomorrow,
brothers.
Jeff, with your 5th pick.
Hey.
You're gonna get
All
your
right. Well,
receiver?
thank you. I will. We'll talk about what I end up with next week.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get Bijan or Brees. I think you're gonna get one of those receivers. But Lamb and Jefferson, and who's the other one?
Tyreek Hill.
Oh, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, Lou,
So-
we're lucky in that the first receiver off the board might just be George Pickens because of our league.
Who's it gonna be?
Some
I was saying,
hometown
like the
cooking.
chance that like George Pickens is off the board early,
Pickens.
you know, and it's not going to be by me, but it's those other Steeler fans that like pick every Steeler like 3
Well,
rounds.
one of the
before
Steelers
they
fans is
deserve
gone.
to go.
One of the Steelers fans is out.
Oh, yeah, it looked like there was a new person.
I took over his team because he wasn't changing he wasn't even doing the minimum, the 5-minute a week requirement to be in this league.
Was that the kid?
No, he's a good guy. He's he's an adult. But
Oh, well, I thought there was like a,
there's a kid in the league.
parents and a kid that were like all Steeler fans.
There's a kid in the league. He's an Eagles fan. But the parents are Steelers fans. So yeah, it's so funny. There's 3 Steelers fans in this league out of 12. None of us live in Pennsylvania. But last year there was 4 out of 12 were Steelers fans. It's crazy.
Oh, you
Yeah,
Steelers.
all of my like, and granted, I had Steelers sleepers for last season, and there were none. Like there were no sleepers. There was nobody on the Steelers offense that you wanted on your team, and
Not
unfortunately, all those guys picked everybody like around before I was ready to pick.
You have no Steelers?
I might have had. No, I don't think I had any Steelers because I got the 49ers defense because they picked the Steelers defense. Like that was the first defense off the board. And it's like, all right, like I'm a Steeler fan, but I work with a couple of 49er fans and I've watched some of their games. Like their defense is fucking outstanding. It's going to score me more points than the Steelers defense. And so I picked the 49ers defense. And it was like that the whole way through. Like I think somebody picked Chris Boswell before Justin Tucker.
Who's that tight end? Freiermuth?
Oh yeah, he went like in the 2nd round.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was like outlandish. Like I would have taken him in the 3rd or 4th round.
I would love to
Depending
be
on
in
how
that.
my first, few rounds went, but
I would have a really great team in a matter of 6 rounds, man. I'll tell you.
Well, one of those Steelers fans is gone, so but you still got 2.
Who's the other? Who's the newbies team?
Well, it's Kimmler. He's a Bears fan, right?
Oh yeah,
more
definitely.
Bears fans.
Yeah, so there's 3 Bears fans, 2 Packers, 1 Giants, 1 Jets, 3 Steelers. Does that add up?
Maybe.
Maybe there's more than there's 4. There's at least 4 Bears fans, I guess, right?
Is Larkin in your league?
No, Steiger, Kimmler, Norm, Sean, Bob Meinig, who's going to rejoin the beer league. Bob and Sean are Packers fans.
Wait, is Bob getting a brand new team?
He's going to do brand new.
Oh, that's right. Expansion draft and all that fun stuff.
So maybe he was coming by the auction because he was. I didn't take it that way. I didn't take it like, oh, he wants back in. So because I'm not intuitive like that, I think so. So he had to ask me, and I was like, oh, yeah, well, I think so. You know,
Well,
I
we
thought
had
he just
13, right?
was that.
We had 13 before for a while.
Well, we've had 22, right? So
Well, not when I was in.
before your time, yeah. No, we had your first year. We had 16, but the rosters were small. We only had 21 players in the team back then, 15 starters.
Yeah,
So
with like
since
one
we've
catcher
had
and no
this
middle
roster
infielders.
set up, I think this will be the most then. I don't think we've had more than 12 since then, since like 2005. Yeah. Well, you want to call it, Jeff?
Yeah, I think we're done. I think
Great.
Zoom's gonna kick me off here pretty soon.
All right, Norm. Try to
Nice
win some
talking to you
games,
guys.
man. Don't make such an idiot of the model, for God's sake.
Use your pitching.
Fuck the model. All
All right,
well,
do I
let's see
have
you
to
tomorrow, Lou.
end?
Talk to you, Jeff,
Norm, good to see you.
next time.
All right, I'll
Till
stop
next
it.
time. All right.